So I guess we're good to go. So Todd, you're good. So welcome everyone to our County Council meeting of August 2024, 2026. Madam Clerk, if I can call this special meeting to order.
It's moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor Guédon, that the special meeting of the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas and Glengarry be hereby called to order.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion is carried. Moving to the adoption of the agenda, Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Guédon, seconded by Councillor Fraser, that Council approve the agenda.
Any questions on the agenda presented? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion's carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Thank you. Moving on to our first agenda items, item 4.1 in regards to OPA number 33 for our provincial planning statements 2024 conformity review. Madam Clerk. Oh, sorry, I guess we don't need a resolution, so we have both Peter and Lindsay to present. So good morning.
Good morning, and thank you, Warden Landry. So my name is Lindsay Parisian, and I'll be presenting for you this special meeting of Council, some of the proposed changes to our official plan document as you're required to make as part of our conformity exercise for you this morning. So before I begin, I just want to mention that this presentation is broken up into three parts. The first part being the Planning Act requirements and scope of review, followed by the official plan updates and policy changes. As you'll see, there's some significant changes that we are making at this time. And then we'll look ahead after this meeting to some of the projected timeline and next steps in this process. So part one, the Planning Act requirements and scope of review. So in the Planning Act, when updating the official plan, municipalities are required to do so in order to ensure that it conforms to provincial plans, as well as it's consistent with policy statements. When these updates are made, this is considered a Section 26 review in the Planning Act. And for clarity, I do want to mention that these type OPAs that are typically considered by council when they're made by a person or a public body, those types of applications are actually considered under Section 22 of the Planning Act, so they are separate. Under Section 26 of the Planning Act, consultation with the approval authority is required by council, as well as we are required to hold a special meeting of council that is open to the public because it gives them an opportunity to discuss the revisions that may be required, which is why we are here this morning. In the Planning Act, notice of special meeting is also fairly prescribed, and so we published our news in local newspapers during the weeks of July 6th and July 22nd. This notice was also published online, and for those who wish to be notified about this process, at any stage that we are going through, we do ask that you send an email to planning@sdgcounties.ca. Looking at a scope of review, so this conformity review exercise started in early 2025, and this was the purpose of ensuring that there is alignment and conformity with the provincial planning statement, as well as various changes to the Planning Act that have been made by the province. As part of this exercise, there have been several key areas that have been reviewed for policy clarity and to really ensure that our official plan document aligns with best practices. And since early 2025, as you've been made aware, there have been recent official plan amendments that have been adopted by council, and so at this time we are integrating them to ensure that we have one consolidated document. Now, part two, we'll look at some of the official plan updates as well as some of the significant policy changes that we are looking to introduce. So since our last Section 26 review, there have been several changes and updates to provincial ministries, specifically to their titles, sections of the Planning Act, page numbering, for example. So these types of updates, or I guess more technical updates, are being made at this time. As I mentioned previously, so we've received several OPAs throughout the last year and a bit, some private OPAs, which are site-specific, as well as countywide OPAs, so often you'll hear that we'll make reference to them as a housekeeping initiative. All those updates are being integrated into our new document. Looking at some of the policy changes, as we talked about before, back in 2023, Watson Associates prepared a growth management study, and that study updated our growth projections for our counties related to our population numbers, our number of dwellings and employment throughout our region. However, in 2025, These growth projections were further updated in accordance with the Ministry of Finance's methodology as we are required to do so. But as a result, our new official plan, or the official plan, will have a 30-year planning horizon starting from 2026, looking forward to 2056. As you saw earlier in our slides, Section 26 review is being conducted, and really the main reason for it is because of the provincial planning statement that was issued in October of 2024. Because of this document, several sections of our official plan are going to be updated and revised in order to ensure alignment and consistency. So this slide gives a brief summary of some of the key sections that are receiving significant changes. For example, housing policies as it relates to the residential land supply is being changed. We are looking to introduce new policies that require municipalities to maintain, for example, a 15-year supply of residentially designated and available lands. In the last year or so, the province has come forward with significant changes related to additional residential units, so ARUs for short. What they've done is they've required as-of-right permissions for developing ARUs in certain areas. So as a result of that, a full rewrite of that section in our current official plan is being undertaken. Also, with this full rewrite, we are encouraging local municipalities to update their local zoning bylaws to implement these policies as well. Another key section in our official plan that will be revised is our settlement area boundary adjustments. With this new PPS, they remove the requirement for municipalities to conduct a municipal comprehensive review based on the direction of the PPS, so that is a fairly significant change that you'll see in order to make those types of boundary settlement area adjustments in the future. Another section that's receiving significant changes, and this is based on the new definition of what employment area is in the PPS. What you'll notice is that we are taking a two-tiered approach. So two-tiered approach being Tier 1 properties that are designated as a primary employment district. These lands under the PPS are going to be protected, as well as have greater restrictions to determine or to kind of ensure that the uses that are established on these properties are meeting that definition and the policies and the intent of what employment area is. We also are looking to introduce a Tier 2 land use designation, or local employment district. These properties would have limited commercial uses that are directly related to employment activities, excuse me, as well. In our official plan, we decided to maintain a commercial district, but we are looking to introduce new policies that provide a greater flexibility for the lands that are kind of within that fringe area or transition areas. These policies will also give greater direction for local municipalities to create potentially a new zone, for example, or perhaps introduce a new overlay with performance standards to ensure compliance as well. On this slide, you'll see the other sections within our official plan document that are also receiving updates for the intent of this meeting. I won't go through all of them in great detail for you, but I do want to make note that the intent of these policy changes are really to be more permissive in nature and be less prohibitive. And a detailed summary of these proposed changes was actually attached to this agenda, and for anyone who wants to review it in great detail. And just to give you an example of some of the policy changes that are being more permissive versus to be less prohibitive, you'll notice in our servicing hierarchy prioritization, in our current official plan, we actually prohibit the use of communal services, whereas with the new PPS, communal services is permitted, and so we are incorporating those policy changes at this time as well. So now looking at following this meeting and our projected timeline and next steps moving forward. So last week we actually had a meeting with the ministry staff from Municipal Affairs and Housing. What we actually did, they gave us a walkthrough of some of their comments that we are anticipating from them as we are kind of nearing that 90-day window, that turnaround time frame that they're committed to. So we are hopeful to receive their comments, hopefully within the next week or so. Once we receive their comments, we'll then incorporate that into a final draft of our official plan document. That draft will then be circulated to the SDG Planners Group, and then hopefully we'll be able to begin the formal public consultation and circulation process this fall. Unfortunately, don't have set dead timeframes right now. We are really hoping to receive those comments and to be able to move this forward as needed. So I do want to remind everyone here this morning that at this time we are only proposing changes to the official plan text and the document itself. Right now we are not looking to make any changes to our land use schedules. That will be phase 2 of this conformity exercise process. We really want to ensure that the document is most up to date and that the new policies, specifically as it relates to our employment areas, that are in full effect before we look in greater detail at some of the lands throughout our municipalities. And so the plan is to bring forward future official plan amendments for each municipality and to ensure that they are appropriately designated based on the PPS policies. And on this slide, you'll see an example of what that mapping exercise would look like. So that concludes my presentation. I just want to thank you for the opportunity for sharing the proposed changes with you, and I'll turn it back over to you, Warden Landry.
Thank you very much. So looking at any questions from council, starting with Councillor Lang, followed by Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, and through you. Thanks for the presentation. Very happy to hear that you're trying to be more permissive and encourage things to move along. You didn't touch on it very much. The natural heritage features and areas. Just reading it, I'm not sure exactly what those changes you're proposing would enhance, and I wondered if they would be more permissive or that area might be more restrictive.
So through you, Warden Landry, so those policies are actually that are being introduced are based off the study that we completed, I believe in partnership with the Prescott Russell as well as the CAs at the time. So that study took place and was completed in 2021. Those policies are meant to be more permissive as well. However, there are still some restrictions in certain areas in order to permit development, but also restrict it as well in our wetlands. So that I don't know the full details right now. I apologize, don't have it in front of me, but those policies, the changes that are being made are stemming from that 2021 study that we've slowly begun to implement with our, for example, the Major Open Space OPA was one of them, as well as the Conservation Lands Overlay was another initiative that we undertook in order to kind of implement some of those policies at this time.
I can give a couple examples as well. One is the distances requiring to do an environmental study. We're hoping to reduce those to have more standard distances. So instead of anything within 120 meters, 400 feet, you have to do a study. Well, now the conservation authorities have changed and reduced all their distances in the legislation. So we're hoping to mirror that in our official plan. And in terms of the mapping, we're generally hoping to keep things the same, like it already went to the Ontario Land Tribunal and significant woodlands that was already approved, but updating the policies to meet the latest provincial standards and also see what flexibility we can get in there as well.
All right, thank you. I just, if I could just follow up a little bit. I remember at the time when we saw the mapping and identified the corridors and so forth, which was kind of a new thing, and the ag community was concerned at the time. It was told to them that, don't worry about it, it's nothing that is going to affect you. So I just wanted to mention it so that, we keep that in mind, and if there are any changes, especially if it's going to affect the ag community, that they've been consulted.
Thank you. And the intent is for those ones, the linkages and corridors are more encouraging and supporting, and when the county is looking at land acquisition, to look at those rather than requiring a study for anyone in a corridor.
Thank you. Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, and thank you for the presentation, Lindsay, Ms. Parisian, I should say. Maybe it's just for my betterment, but the settlement area boundary adjustments, is that going to become, I know that's been an issue for us in North Dundas as we have to move things around and it becomes a big delay, and now with the growth that we're all going to experience with the changes in the federal and provincial government's direction on how to grow and build more homes. Settlement area boundaries, is it going to become much more amenable to growth as opposed to the way I see it is kind of restrictive whenever we see our boundaries and the length of time it takes to, in the past, to change a boundary. Is this the direction that you're looking at going?
Through you, Warden Landry, yes, that is the direction that we are taking, and that's based on the direction of the new PPS. So when I mentioned that the removal of the municipal comprehensive review, that was a significant requirement that was required before this current PPS was released. It was, for those who aren't aware, municipal comprehensive review was very substantial in terms of efforts. You'd have to go through the market analysis, the land's needs and the demand, really based on your growth numbers and projections to really determine which areas could be expanded and where those boundary adjustments could occur. And only municipalities could initiate that process. With the removal of that requirement, a boundary settlement area adjustment could be initiated by an individual and without having to submit that additional study as well. So it is a lot, I don't want to say simpler, but less comprehensive in terms of what the requirements would be in order to justify whether or not a certain area could be expanded or not. So it is gotten a lot more permissive.
Okay, thank you. And just to piggyback, if I may, Mr. Warden, to piggyback to Councillor Lang, and he talked about the natural heritage, the investigations to go into describing and deciding natural heritage features. Do you anticipate further changes with the new CA and the new regime there? Is this going to continue changing the challenges that we face dealing with the natural heritage features that we have in SDG?
That's a great question, and we'll have to see what ultimately the new CA would potentially be reviewing this through the one window process. We've already got some comments, fairly standard for the hazards and things like that. Definitely from the feedback we've got, there weren't any issues, but this, like Lindsay said, this already went through a previous process, so a lot of the policies have already been looked at. But one of the things that might change in the future is that with the 4 conservation authorities in our area, they each approach wetlands a different way. And that's going to be interesting just to see in the new year how those policies merge together. So it's a little bit more restrictive in the west side, and a little bit less restrictive in the east, and ultimately they're going to have to put that all into one governing body. That's going to be outside of our jurisdiction. We'll just refer to the provincial policies. But I can see that coming up in the future with the 2 western CAs, and the new ones are regulating all wetlands. The 2 eastern ones don't. But I think that's a 2027 decision.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for your insight, and thank you, Mr. Warden.
Thank you. Going over to Councillor Broad.
Yeah, thank you, Warden, and thank you for the presentation. Just a quick question. To your knowledge, are there any current applications that were housing that would be affected by this change, negatively or positively, to your knowledge?
Sorry, through you, Warden Landry. So the only application that does come to mind is OPA 32 with the settlement area boundary expansion initiative in order to permit a future draft plan of subdivision in Iroquois. So that was one that we processed fairly recently. I think it was earlier this year. And it was a lot more straightforward in terms of the policy requirements and meeting the tests in order for us to be able to support that application.
Thank you. Councillor McGillis.
Thank you. So what we're hearing in a nutshell is that all these changes are going to make it easier for municipalities to get housing and economic development projects approved, correct? It's going to make it easier for us. That's what I'm looking at. Is that correct? Come on, be honest. Yes is a good answer.
The answer is yes. One of the things, though, is just a lot of these are already in effect because the province, even if our official plan says one thing, if the provincial policy planning statement says another thing, we already have to follow that. So some of it, it's making things easier, but we're just implementing a provincial decision. At the same time, if there's stuff in our policies that are not needed anymore, then we're happy to look at those and make it easier too.
Thank you. Any other questions? So I'll just fall back similar to Councillor Broad and Councillor Fraser. So in regards to housing, if my interpretation is correct, so we have, for example, I'll use our area with respect, we're coming into the last phase of their draft plan. which then they're going to be moving forward. I just want to understand the timelines of how we go about to expand those village limits. The developer in question occupy or owns the land considerably to the north, and I just want to make sure as a township that we're aware of when and how it's going to happen to make sure that our priorities with all our infrastructure is followed through. So if you're looking at coming into the tail end of a draft plan that's submitted, if there was a new draft plan submitted, what's the timeline in regards to obtaining that additional residential land for our village limits?
The nice thing now is that if the developer wants to proceed, they can just go ahead. They don't have to wait till we go through this entire process. Ms. Parisian mentioned the OPA 32 in Iroquois. That was done outside of this whole comprehensive review process. They just did a study, showed that this is a great place to expand. There's the capacity in South Dundas, and it was approved within 3 months or something like that. We're going to update the projections to make some of those expansions easier to justify, but ultimately anyone can come ahead in advance with their own application instead of waiting for all 6 municipalities to be satisfied with all the changes. So I think regardless, those applications can go ahead.
Good to hear. Thank you. So seeing no further questions, thank you very much. And I presume now we can move, Madam Clerk, if we can move into our public meeting, OPA number 34 in regards to 19291 County Road 19 in Williamstown.
It's moved by Councillor Fraser, seconded by Councillor Lang, that Council convene a public meeting pursuant to Section 22 of the Planning Act to consider Official Plan Amendment number 34.
Thank you. Did you want to further? Oh, sorry. Yeah. All in favor? The motion is carried. Now, if I can get you to state our followings.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I would like to advise that this public meeting is being live streamed and on the SDG Counties YouTube channel and is also being recorded today. Should there be any members of the public here or unable to join us this morning who wish to provide comments related to the item considered or wish to be notified of the decision, they can send an email to planning@sdgcounties.ca. When the time comes for public comments or questions and you wish to speak, please raise your hand. We ask that you begin by stating your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Thank you. So at this point, I'd like to introduce Peter Young, our Director of Planning and Economic Development Services, as well as our Director of Transportation, Mr. Cameron Harper, who they will further explain how the meeting will proceed and provide an overview on the matter being considered. Mr. Young.
Good morning, Warden Landry. So the public meeting is a forum for public and the council to receive information that pertains to the proposed Official Plan Amendment 34. It's being held pursuant to Section 22 of the Planning Act. Anyone wishing to receive further notice can contact planning@sdgcounties.ca, and I'll go ahead with my presentation or our presentation. So this is a photo of the property, 19291 County Road 19, just outside of Williamstown. As we said earlier, any person can attend, make written or verbal representation. If someone has the ability to appeal, but they do not make any oral submissions at a public meeting or written submissions to the council, the person or public body is unable to appeal. If they do not make oral submissions at the public meeting or written submissions before the bylaw is passed, they would like to join the hearing, they may not be added as party unless they make those submissions. So here is the property in question. It's in the township of South Glengarry. It's just west of Williamstown. It's designated a rural district in the county official plan. The current zoning's agriculture. That would be updated when South Glengarry next does a comprehensive review of their bylaw. It's a fairly large property, 6.6 hectares, 17 acres, and just has a single detached dwelling and some outbuildings. To the north, there's agricultural wooded lands. To the south, County Road 19, the Raisin River, agricultural lands to the east, and rural and residential lands to the west. And this is a photo of the site and the sign on the property. So there was a public meeting notice, and there's official plan amendment, and this one in particular is going to county council. If there are no local planning applications at this time, and it does impact a county roads policy. So what is official plan amendment number 34? So it's a request to permit an additional entrance on the north side of County Road 19 that would allow a future severance application to create a new lot. It's a site-specific exemption to the policies on the county road development adjacent to county roads. And you can see this is sort of the overall context. There's subject lands, properties to the east and west along the county road, and then the river to the south. So this is a more zoomed in view and showing the concept for the severed and retained parcel. And when the applicant's presenting, they'll go into more details and just the background of what they're hoping to achieve. You can see they're both fairly large parcels, 6 and 11 acres. So we'll just give some background on the policies and where this is coming from. So fall in 2024, Council passed a motion to look at the county road entrance policies and directed SDG staff to review the policies. There are multiple options presented to Council through a report in 2024. Then the policies were updated and implemented into 2025. And they look like this. So in situations, there's kind of two classes of roads. Roads with less than 4,000 or with more than 4,000 vehicles are fairly restrictive, almost no severances allowed. When they're a bit less than 4,000, if there's no local road access available, and if the density of existing or future entranceways on the same side of the road is no more than 6 per kilometer, they potentially can get a severance if all the other policies are met. So basically on the lower traveled county roads, the maximum number of residential lots, if you want to create new lot, is 6. If you already hit 6, then you can't get any more new lots. If someone's at 5, they can potentially get up to 1 new lot if every other policy is met. So I'll turn over to Cameron just in terms of where the background of this policy is, and then get more into details on this application.
Yep, thanks, Peter. So OPA 28 came sort of before council back in November of 2024, where multiple options were presented. Ultimately, we settled on option 1, which was to sort of have that hard and fast rule of these are the total number of entrances permitted within 1 kilometer. It's staff's opinion that this sort of meets what Transportation Association of Canada recommend with lot spacing, access spacing, or average access spacing, and therefore are comfortable with OPA 28 and sort of the rules and that 6 entrance per side recommendation. OPA 28 in this particular location increased the number of entrances permitted from 3 to 6 because of the traffic volumes on that road. And currently there are 7. So the applicant would be applying for an 8th. And just one last statement there, that this is OPA 28, and sort of the ideology behind access management is a long-term outlook with and has a cumulative effect on the county road network. So previously, the official plan looked at lot frontages, and that's sort of how that 3 per kilometer number came to be. So they had a minimum lot frontage of 350 meters when there was more than 1,000 cars a day. And as the amount of vehicles dropped, so did the required lot frontage, and that's where the 5 per kilometer came from. And so the top illustration there sort of demonstrates how people can request accesses and how the department reviews whether or not there's eligible space. And so the top image shows that there's a total of 4, because you see the one on the left, the one next to that, there's a vacant residential lot, which we do count as a future access. And then there's the sort of the subject property in blue. So the applied for severance would then be eligible for severance and a access. The one on the bottom shows that there's only 2 within a kilometer, and then therefore they would be eligible. But when we look at sort of that 1 kilometer sliding rule, it's the maximum number sort of on both sides, right? So it's sort of a sliding ruler where we're looking at the total number of entrances. One other thing maybe I'll mention too is OPA 28 looks at the total number of entrances per kilometer and not necessarily sort of a minimum lot frontage or access spacing. So right now we are permitting accesses closer together as long as we're staying within those rules of 6 per kilometer. So this is just a bit of a graph for the last couple of years where we looked at how many applications we've received, how many we've denied, and how many have changed as a result of OPA 28. And so you can see the number is growing, and that the green number in 2025 was as a result of OPA 28, 3 were changed from a previously denied to accepted. And so you can see the number of applications being accepted is increasing, and that's sort of going hand in hand with the number that are being denied as well. In 2026 so far, we've had 22 approved severances, and only 2 have been denied. I guess one unknown that we don't know is when we're talking about denied applications is who might want one that isn't applying, right? And so that's there's no way to predict that. You know, these things, people might be reviewing policies before they even apply. They might be talking to township staff before they apply to the county. So there could be more denied applications. We just don't know how many people are interested in severances altogether.
So this application, like any others, circulated to all the agencies. MTO, it's not near their highways. They don't care too much. Our RCA had no objections, with any environmental or hazard. And transportation comments, Cameron kind of explained as well. So those have been the 3 comments. From South Glengarry staff, they didn't have any comments as well, as it's more of a county road issue rather than anything with their zoning bylaw or specific requirements. So the next step is hopefully at our next county council meeting, we'll present a report with a recommendation for a decision from county council. And then depending on the decision, there's an appeal period. If it's approved and no appeals filed, the OPA's in effect, and there could be a future application submitted to implement the official plan amendment. If it's refused, deferred, or asked us to look at something, a different option, then it depends on what it is, whether it's at the October meeting or in the future term of council. But the intention is to bring forward a recommendation at the next meeting. And through the warden, we're happy to take any questions for staff. If not, we can put up the presentation for the applicant to go into their further detail on their rationale.
I'll look at council. Is there a preference to maybe hear out the applicant, or do anyone have questions to our administration first? Councillor Fraser and then Councillor Bergeron. Go ahead, Councillor Bergeron.
Thank you, Warden. I just want to clarify the point that 6 entrances for each side of the road, or just 6 entrances total before we go into the application, please. Thank you.
Yeah, that's current policy is per side of the road, and that's the reasoning behind that is the number of conflict points. So you look at each side of the road individually, because when they're crossing traffic, they have to cross, one way, right? So if you had 12 on one side of the road, they'd all be crossing and have conflict points for the same lane, either eastbound, westbound, northbound, southbound. Yeah.
Since we have our 2 gentlemen in front of us now, maybe I'll look at questions for our administration. So, Councillor Fraser, do you have something to add?
Excuse me, Mr. Warden, and excuse me, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Warden. No, I'm looking forward to hearing from the applicant, but I'm also looking forward to, as we just went through the previous presentation with Ms. Parisian talking about speeding things up, and then to hear that we're going to delay this, I believe, another month, a decision, which is somewhat contrary to speeding things up. But I do look forward to seeing this approved. When I think of the residential ICI comment about 6 per side, I believe it is, and then I see, well, if it was a Tim Hortons, there'd be a lot more traffic at a Tim Hortons than a 2-car family in and out of their driveway, and the interference that would take place. So I see challenges with the residential and the ICI being all in the same bucket for 6, and I do anticipate the province will be changing that for us in the near future to ensure that growth takes place and for residential as well as commercial and ICI. So anyway, that's just a comment I have, but you did ask if we're interested or anyone's interested. I am interested in hearing from the applicant.
Any further questions? Councillor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, and through you. I won't speak much to my thoughts on it till the applicant gets a chance to speak, but I'm curious if we have a better way of doing this, because this seems like it's a lot harder to do because it's part of our official plan. Does this entrance policy have to be in the official plan? Could we not have something simpler where if something like this comes up, council can make a decision and be done with it? I'm not sure what the rules are on that, but it seems to be very onerous to have to change the official plan just to get an extra entrance.
So this has this type of policy has been in the county official plan for, I think, the last several decades, and this is the first one that's gone through this process. Most applications would go through the pre-severance process that Cameron mentioned. So before submitting anything to the council or putting in a full application, they can do a preliminary review and just pay for that. So before you spend all your money on all this and it could be denied, they go through the process with transportation. So those are all the stats that Cameron provided in terms of we're getting several dozen a year, and almost, most of those are being, I think this year, all 22 have been approved. So that's with most of them. For the ones that are denied, they can still apply, but then if the severance was denied, then they can appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal, and that's the typical process. In this case, the policies are fairly strict because it's applying to every single lot in the county. It's a cumulative policy that over hundreds of severances, or thousands really, that we do every year. We want to apply the same standard to be fair to everyone, and to also have something that addresses a cumulative effect instead of looking at each one individually. Let's say we're on a County Road 2 or 43, or one of the busier ones. Typically, if you only had one severance at a time, it's probably going to be okay. But if you had dozens and dozens and dozens, eventually the speed limit might need to be affected, and things would slow down over time. So that's why the policy is in the official plan. It doesn't have to be, but it's probably one of the policies throughout all the county roads development that's been consistently enforced, and the direction that we've received from council is the county roads are for the traveling public, for going from place to place, for proving some maybe major commercial developments, but if there's quite a few residential developments, they should only have the single entrance, like through a plan of subdivision, and not lots of individual entrances, as those degrade the long-term function of the county road. The problem, why it's in the official plan, is it's hard to make an individual decision on every single one, because most of them would be safe, right? Like on 43 to one severance is not going to slow down the road, but as every single person along the road has that opportunity to apply, and there's more and more entrances on each side and more conflict points, more buses stopping, more traffic in general cumulatively, that's will eventually degrade the function of the road. So that's why it's in the official plan and not just this is not just a setback or a one-off entrance. It's creating a whole new lot. Ultimately, that's the council's decision whether you want that in or out. We looked at some of our counterparts in Lees and Grenville and Prescott Russell. They have very similar policies. They approach it a little bit differently, so we could always look at something that's has more criteria and a bit more flexibility that way. But it is common for counties all across Ontario to have restrictions on how many entrances on a county road, whereas on the township road they might not have those restrictions because it's lower speed limits and different functions.
Just a
Go
quick
ahead.
comment. Thank you for that. I would argue that the reason there's only been one is because it's so hard to do and I presume expensive. But I think listening to the conversation a few months back when we decided to actually double from 3 to 6, there is interest in this room of making sure that there is a little more development along our county roads where possible. So I don't think it's maybe a discussion for today, but maybe this council might want to think about whether we make it a little easier or not. I don't know. That's just a thought. But anyway, likely not for today.
Thank you. I'll look at Councillor Williams and then Councillor McGillis.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Along the same lines as Councillor Lang here, I think this is something we're going to have to relook at in the near future. Because as we see, we just went through a presentation where, we're instituting, policies associated with the movement that the provincial government's making in order to make development more easy, and yet, we're not managing to facilitate that particularly well in our rural areas. I understand we don't want ribbon development. We need to keep our county roads safe and not have a million entrances. Some kind of policy, I believe, is absolutely necessary, but we need to take into account the fact that, that particular piece of land, I do believe, was agricultural and then rezoned to rural, which, of course, allows residential development, and yet it'll never receive any opportunity for development under the current policy. So that just doesn't make any sense. It's something where we need to look at, without just opening it up to, us having to review every single application. I agree that doesn't make any sense. But there needs to be a little bit more flexibility built in there so that we're not turning our backs on rural development, because a lot of these lots come right off of county roads. So I'd like to see in the future a staff report come forward where we can look at various options in order to approach this a little more practically. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McGillis.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Warden. Thank you for your presentation, Peter. I've been saying for years, you were saying earlier that these rules were the same for decades. Times have changed. Our housing situation is a lot different than back in the days where, it's easier to, have severances on municipal roads. But I still think the restrictions on the number and spacing of entrances on county roads are becoming a significant barrier to create new residential lots. We have landowners who have suitable land, but they can't get required access, and as a result, severances can't be approved and houses aren't being built. As we prepare to review these entrances requirements, and I said maybe this is a discussion for the new council of the day, but to allow more severances where safe entrances can be demonstrated. I know the county has a big concern of safety, road safety, and we can evaluate each proposed entrance based on sight lines, traffic volume, road conditions and engineering rather than applying such restrictive blanket spacing requirements as we have today. 6 lots. That's, to me, is just a figure that we're throwing out there, but I think there's room to make the changes that are necessary. I know there's people out there that should have severances. They're not getting the permission or approvals to get them, and I think it's ridiculous because we're in a position and the time is for to change and change for the future and change now, because today is, again, a day we need to look at this housing crisis, and we need younger families to be able to afford, not just the big expensive houses, but the smaller houses too. We can look at those things, smaller lots for severances and whatnot, but we have to change here at the counties. The mindset has to change. That's all I have to say at this point. And I got no problem with approving this as well, before I even hear Tim speak.
Thank you. Any other questions? So just on my note, so I do feel we are rural, we are pushing for moving forward in certain circumstances. The fact that we have 6, like I feel not all 6 are coming out at the same time. So it's one of those things where I sometimes have a hard time explaining to some of our residents that have a beautiful plot of land that potentially could be for residents, and they are trying to. So I do support. My question is, if this moves forward, comes to council, does our planning department automatically, because of our policy, have to not support the motion? And if it was to go forward with, I apply for the severance anyways, and it goes further to the LPAT, or to the land tribunal, how does that move forward as far as having our representation looking at council's interest?
Through the warden, ultimately this is a decision of council. The only person that could appeal a decision would be the applicant. So if council approves the official plan amendment, there's agencies that could appeal, but none of them have any issues. The RCA and the municipality, South Glengarry, has not provided any comments from staff. So ultimately it's a decision of council. Our recommendation, we're looking at the context. Well, first of all, our recommendation would be at the next meeting once we've heard from council and the applicant as well. This is the public meeting here instead of at South Glengarry. But ultimately the recommendation is based on the cumulative effect, and the applicant knows where the staff position is, and they're welcome to apply. But that's a decision of council ultimately on where you want to go, and if you want to direct us to review other policies at the same time or defer and review policies, that's also an option too. So what we will do is in our report provide options for council to consider, including some of the feedback we've heard today.
Okay, so as Mr. Young stated earlier, so there's no decision being taken today, so we're basically accepting the report. And at this time, I would like to invite the applicant, so Mr. Tim Simpson, to come and present his portion. Welcome, Tim.
Good morning, Mr. Warden. Can everybody hear me okay? It's great to be back here, and usually sitting on the other side of the table, so it's good to be sitting here. I want to thank Councillor Fraser and Councillor Lang for the segue into something that I was going to discuss. I was going to do the specific context of my situation first, and then I was going to talk about the policy, OPA 28 itself, secondary. But since we led into that, I'll just very briefly just touch on that. I think that yes, the new policy is more permissive, but really it should not be in the official plan. I would strongly urge council to take a look at pulling it out and having it as a standalone policy, because all it does is discourage applicants such as myself who have viable properties in a rural area from being severed, and quite frankly, the big discouragement is the money. I have thousands of dollars into this all ahead of time, so why would I not do this first? Why would I do pre-consultation when I'm going to be told no, I can't get the severance? You just discourage people. So I want to get approval from council first that I can get an entrance into the this 10-acre, almost 11-acre parcel. So those are my comments on the policy itself. There's got to be some flexibility, and council's got to have an ability to look at it, because you're not part of the discussions that happen at the staff level in the context of, I'm thinking about doing this. Well, you already have 6, you can't do it, or you already have 8. So I would strongly suggest that you take a look at that. It was, as mentioned by Councillor Fraser and Councillor Lang, which is a separate issue from this, but it's all enmeshed as part of it. So I'll just talk very briefly about why I'm here. Obviously, behind you, you've got and I want to thank Peter and his staff and Joanne at the township for the information they provided me on this. They were very helpful. This is, just as a background, my father-in-law is the owner of this property. His name's Malcolm Fraser. It's about a couple kilometers west of Williamstown on County Road 19. And my mother-in-law just passed away recently, so we're thinking about succession planning. He lives in the house on the left side of the screen. I think it's your left. And he's got some outbuildings in the back. And he's got this almost 11-acre parcel in the front. If you're familiar with it, it's on County Road 19. There's a nice gentle rise, probably goes up 30 feet from the road. And then there's the bush in the back. And then there's the low-density rural on the right. And then Mary Regan lives in the property on the left. So what we would like to do is to split it and keep part of the 11 acres in the family. So that's essentially what we would like to do. My wife's retiring at the end of the next school year, so it's kind of a retirement project for us to get going on that. And the other thing that's from a timing perspective is there's an HST rebate right now from the federal government and the provincial government. So if we can get this going before April 1st, we're going to save 13% of a lot of money, which is a big number. So we want to get moving on it. Peter, if you can is there any questions on, and Josh has put maybe go to the engineering report first, Peter. And I did take that picture you saw. I just stopped on my way in this morning. I took that picture. That's just looking from the south side of the south branch up into the property. So after my discussions with Peter and his staff, I talked to Josh, and Josh put this letter together for me. And essentially, it's only 2 pages. Essentially, what Josh is saying is that from an engineering perspective, there's absolutely no issue allowing one driveway in there to build a detached home. Maybe scroll down a wee bit, Peter. So if you look at the last proposed entrance, he talks about where it would go. And he's talking about the width and appropriately sized culvert. He's talking about there's enough distance from a daylighting triangle, acceleration, deceleration, passing lane, et cetera, guide rails, bridges. There's a hydro pole. When we go back to the picture, there's a hydro pole there that's got some vegetation growing up around it, so that'll have to be removed to make sure there's a safe sight line. He said it exceeds the minimum sight distance of 140 meters in either direction. It meets the requirements for nearest residential driveway, and it's located 1.6 kilometers from the nearest intersection. Now, I think the most salient point in this location specifically is that, well, there's no issues from an official plan, a zoning, raising region, so that's all good. But in the context of the entrances, my understanding, and Councillor Bergeron, I think you brought this up, you're allowed 6 per side. I believe there's one east. You remember where Dr. Monroe, his house, he's got the private bridge. I believe that's the only one on the south side. But I should have measured this morning. That's about 1 kilometer away. There's nothing. The river's right there. There's no possibility of any entrances on there. So, if you have 12 and your head's on a swivel, but in this instance, all the entrances are on the north side where we're proposing to put it. So, again, there's another reason why I'll just go back to my earlier comments. I think that should be a standalone policy with, like, your setback policy or whatnot, that gives council at least an opportunity to look at an individual property in the context of individual conditions and say yes or no. And I mean, if there's valid reasons, say no. And I certainly support the idea that, you know, county roads are there to move people and things like that. I certainly support that. You don't want quarter acre lots or half acre lots with driveway after driveway, but that's not the situation here. And, you know, to me, this comes down to common sense. And Councillor McGillis was talking about economic development and rural development. Not everybody wants to live in a settlement area. A lot of people want to live rurally. This is a legacy farm in the family, and you know it's a beautiful spot. I'm biased, but I think it's one of the nicest spots in all of SDG. And you know, to me, it comes down to common sense. But back to the entrances, like I said, there's the two sides of the road. There's the river. And if we're allowed to do this, we're talking, you know, hiring contractors and building supplies and surveyors and all that kind of stuff, and real estate agents when we sell our house. So to me, it's a matter of common sense and allowing us to move forward. So I think I've said everything that I want to say. And again, if we can't get an entrance, it's to to Karma's point, sorry, Councillor Williams, it's essentially sterilizes a property that has very little value as a hayfield. There's hayfields everywhere, and you can take hay off anywhere. It's not like it's prime ag. So with that, Mr. Warden, I'd be happy to answer any questions that council may have, and look forward to moving it forward in September, and then applying for the severance as a next step.
Thank you. I'll look at down below at the administration. Is there, I know we're looking into at the gallery, if there's anybody need to speak, and then I would come to council for questions. So if anybody wants to speak, would raise your hand. And I'm not seeing anyone, so then I will turn it to council. So any questions or comments to Mr. Simpson? Go ahead, Councillor Broad.
Yeah, thank you, Warden. Not specifically a question, but just wanted to add my comments. Certainly on an individual basis, looking at a piece of property, ideally, and I remember when I was on my first roads tour with SDG, and we toured around, and this was an exact topic, and I sat with Councillor McGillis at the front of the bus, and we looked at, you know, where do we add, how do we add more housing, ribbon development, how many entrance ways, and it's a topic conversation, right? And I was like, yeah, let's, you know, we should be adding more, right? And I know Ms. Morin's here, and we've had folks come forward in our community to add entrance ways, and there's pros and cons to it. So on an individual basis, this lot or other lots, it would be a great place to live, right? And then maybe it's not super great agriculture, but it is agricultural land today. And you think it's somewhat of infill, right? Snowplow is already going by, plowing the road. Garbage truck is already going by. One extra stop doesn't add, right? There's all these pros to it. But on the second side, right, you know, we are losing ag land more and more throughout the province, and it's a subject of conversation. But my biggest concern, though, becomes speed limits and when it gets to be too many. We have this exact problem on County Road 18, west or east of Williamsburg. As all this development has started to creep up, I'm getting requests over and over about the speed limit's too fast. We got to reduce. People are speeding, right? My kids are going to walk on the road. It's a county road. It's meant to move people. And from a community that has nowhere to go south, unless it's by boat, our folks travel north by county roads, right? The only way to move is county roads. So more school bus stops, right? More activity on the roads, more people turning in and out becomes a challenge. It's hard for us to figure out what the right number is. And this is a challenge. And although I support this application, I looked at the map, I've been by that property. Of course, there's no entranceways to the south, so there'll never be 12, right, in that 1 kilometer. There'll only be 7 or 8. It makes sense. But these are all the other challenges that we need to think about what the policy looks like. And I still need to think about it more. So I'm going to have a great opportunity when it comes back to talk to more councillors, talk to our folks within our community, because it's going to be a challenge to see, you know, what the policy should be going forward. Just my comments I want to pass on today. Thank you.
I will go to Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, and I would be in favor of this one mainly because of that 2 and 2, but I also want to speak similarly to, and I don't think it's going to be a surprise given my my heritage and a few engineers. I'm not against the restrictive nature of this. I do feel that my experience 2022 knocking on, I'll say 4,000 doors led me to County Road 18, County Road 2. A lot of the residents on County Road 18 did say like they are lovely rural properties, but anybody I talked to said just pull on my grass, do not leave backwards onto this road. It is dangerous. Not that there's built up like this. Again, it's on both sides of the road, so not speaking to this specific property. County Road 2 is an example of what you said. There's a wonderful through fare for, in our township, is mostly 60. I would hate to turn all our roads to 60 roads because it would take me, I'd be 10 minutes late to every council meeting. But again, this one is particular, and I like the idea of having the comment, like the ability to bring them to council. I don't know what that is, if it is removing it from this. The one thing that struck me and that Mr. Simpson said was, like, this is one of those situations where don't mistake the willingness to pay and do this versus the ability to pay and do this. Mr. Simpson kind of highlighted that that is a restriction. So there are people who would like to do this, have this conversation. Maybe it goes their way, maybe it doesn't, but they can't because of dollars. And I don't know if that's always a fair way to treat things. Like that means that anybody who has less cannot have this conversation with us. And I don't know where that resides, but that was something that came up because he can and he will. Others may want to, but they can't. So I'm happy to support this whenever it comes. And I'm not against the restrictive nature on our county roads to make sure we have, I can get to county council on time for the next 3 meetings.
Fair comment. Any other questions? Go ahead, Councillor Lane.
Just a clarification, is this not zoned rural now? I think this was ag, and it's been switched to rural. Am I not correct in that? It just hasn't maybe been updated?
Yes, in the designation as rural, the zoning, I think, would be updated with all the properties in the future. And when Mr. Simpson talked to the township, that wasn't an issue for the severance for township staff, because we know that they're going to update in the future, and people that have applied, meanwhile, they just usually do an acknowledgement. I know that my property is going to go from ag to rural, and usually people want that anyways. It's more flexible.
Yeah, because if I remember right, I think this is one of the properties we worked at getting in, and I think if everybody remembers, we had a long battle with the province. We'd asked for certain things to be rural. Province had said no. We won some, we lost some. And this is, and as Mr. Simpson has said, there's a gentle rise of 30 feet, but in South Glengarry, if you get a rise of more than 2 feet, it's full of stones. And it's not prime ag land anymore. And to me, this is an ideal spot for what he was proposing to do. So anyway, looking forward to it coming to us.
Thank you. Going around the table one more. Any further question? Seeing none. I thank you very much, Mr. Simpson, for the presentation, and thank you. So I will look at a motion to move out of the public meeting, please.
It's moved by Councillor Lang, seconded by Councillor Broad, that the public meeting held pursuant to Section 22 of the Planning Act be concluded and that Council reconvene its special council meeting.
All in favor? Motion's carried. Can I have the ratification bylaw, please?
It's moved by Councillor Gaindall, seconded by Councillor Lang, that bylaw number 5547, being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion's carried. And the adjournment, please.
It's moved by Councillor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Broad, that the special meeting be adjourned.
And all in favor? Motion is carried. Now, are we good to carry on, or did we want a few-minute break? We're rolling, so as we move along, I believe we have recognitions to deal with, so let's go into our regular council meeting of August 24th, 2026. So, Madam Clerk, if you can call this meeting to order.
It's moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor Fraser, that the meeting of the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry be hereby called to order.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion's carried. Moving on to the adoption of the agenda.
It's moved by Councillor Lang, seconded by Councillor Gaindall, that Council approve the agenda.
Any questions on the agenda as presented? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion's carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we will move to the adoption of our previous minutes. Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Gaindall, seconded by Councillor Lang, that the minutes of the council meeting, including the in-camera minutes of the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry, held July 20th, 2026, be adopted as circulated.
Thank you. Any questions, comments on our previous minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. Moving on to our action request, I would like to, or Madam Clerk, if you have a resolution for our corporate services, please.
It's moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor Bergeron, that the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas and Glengarry adopt the terms of reference for the SDG Counties Agricultural Advisory Committee.
Thank you. All in favor? Oh, sorry, Jamie, sorry. I guess Jamie will be speaking on this, so go ahead. I'm good with it, Jamie. No, go ahead, Jamie.
Thank you, Warden.
I apologize.
Again, it's been brought to council a few times now in draft form. This report is essentially just recommending that we formally adopt the terms of reference for the new Ag Advisory Committee and make it formal, and then the committee would take effect for the next term of council.
So it's well identified. So is there any questions on the format or the process that we're going to be moving into? We're all good. So now, all in favor? Motion is carried. Moving on to our 2026 excluded expense report. Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Fraser, seconded by Councillor Williams, that the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas and Glengarry approve the 2026 excluded expenses report as required under Ontario Regulation 28409.
Thank you. And we have Rebecca to give us some insight on this.
Ontario Regulation 28409 requires annual reporting to include items that were not part of the budget. So this would include items such as depreciation, landfill closure costs, which don't apply to SDG, or post-employment benefits. So these non-cash items are not included in our annual budget, so we include them in this Ontario regulation requirement. And the report outlines what the depreciation for 2026 will be. This report will go to our auditors at year-end and be included with our year-end financial statements.
Thank you. Any question? Lachlan, you sure? So with that said, all in favor? Motion is carried. Moving to our tenders and quotation with our liquid chloride salt additive tender. Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Williams, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas and Glengarry award the tender to Daly Services Incorporated to supply calcium chloride salt pre-wetting agent at their unit prices totaling $226,800 for year one and $237,600 for year two, and that the manager of operations be authorized to sign all necessary documents to give effect to the contract.
Thank you. So we'll have Trevor to speak on the next two items. So go ahead, Trevor.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Good morning, Council. As the motion was read in front of you this morning is looking for approval on a tender for our calcium chloride, routine material used for us in our winter maintenance operations. As you'll see noted in the report, it may appear as though the tender is over budget, but it's just the way it falls with the winter season straddling 2 budget years. So there is sufficient budget this year to finish out this year's season, and the 2027 budget will be adjusted appropriately to reflect these new unit rates. Obviously is a consumable commodity, so it depends on the severity of winter of how much we actually buy, but no concerns there budget-wise. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Looking at Council, any questions? Councillor Lane.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, through you. And not for right now, don't need an answer right now, but just curious when I was reading the report, how, and this is supposed to cut back on salt, have we ever done anything to say, well, the few years that we used to, because I know winters vary quite considerably. Do we think we're getting a cutback on salt if you take a few years before, have we used it, and a few years after? How has it worked out?
We haven't conducted so much of a formal investigation, scientifically controlled study to say definitively we've gotten any better results, but just through the nature of the equipment itself, pumps are going to break down and not be available on certain trucks for certain times, and in observing the performance on those routes versus others, we've noticed that it is absolutely helping treatment times required and to go back out. So the biggest benefit for us is between shift changes, between night and day shift. It really, that material added to the salt buys that extra bit of time for you as well. So we're certainly noticing positive results from using the material. To quantify it and be definitive, I can't do, but if that's something Council's interested in, we certainly can do a further study.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor of motion, motion is carried. Madam Clerk, if we can discuss item 7.2.
It's moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor Williams, that the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas and Glengarry award the tender to Rush Truck Centres of Canada Limited for the purchase of 2 cabin chassis, one for SDG Counties and one for the Township of South Glengarry, at their total submitted price of $450,279.34 plus net HST, and that Council award the tender to Gincor Industries for associated plow and spreader equipment at their total submitted price of $513,880 plus net HST, with both tenders being necessary to complete the supply, installation, and delivery of a new plow and spreader unit, and that Council directs staff to include the total value of $490,500 in the 2027 budget to cover the SDG Counties portion of these tenders, which includes the applicable portion of HST payable, and that the Manager of Operations be authorized to sign all documents to give effect to the contracts.
Thank you. Any questions? Just a one, so in regards to cost increase to doing this thing, we buy them regularly, so are we seeing that same percentage of that increase, or are we seeing where it's going, higher than what past tenders were, or what's your thought on that comment?
Yeah, so as I was going to mention, the price increase on this one is about 6% over our last unit. And in speaking with the suppliers, what that's related to specifically on this year around is price increases on the commodities themselves related to the special equipment. So one piece of this truck, for the plow blades, for example, we're seeing incredible price increases on, as well as some of the specialized hydraulic components coming out of the United States. Not greatly affecting the overall price of the truck, but certainly is having an impact on the price continuing to rise. What we have been warned of is this purchase is going to be good for us to award, and it'll be the last one before the new emissions controls come into place, the regulations for next year, and we've been advised to probably expect a $25,000 price increase on next year's unit, just because of that one regulation coming into effect. So it's certainly getting expensive.
Any further question? Councillor Lane.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Warden, and thanks for your question, because it made me. Is this price guaranteed? Like, if the 50% tariffs are in effect, are we having is there any kind of contingency where they can charge more, or is this a guaranteed price?
As far as the procurement side of things go, the tender has been submitted, and there is a validity period on there, so they have to accept as we award, and we clarify in the tender documents that they will be notified this week, so it is fine, and it is a guaranteed price. The only thing that would change outside of that would be like a force majeure contract of some sort, but we're gonna let them know if this passes. We're gonna let them know later this week that they've been awarded and the orders will be placed, and that's the pricing we're gonna get.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Moving on to our bylaw, Madam Clerk, in regards to personal policy update.
It's moved by Councillor Gaino, seconded by Councillor Broad, that bylaw number 5541, being a bylaw to adopt revised policy number 1-20, a comprehensive personnel policy manual, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Thank you, and I will have our CEO, Mr. Foth, speak on this.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Warden. This issue has been brought to council previously. The decision was deferred to allow for a more broader conversation regarding the proposed inclusions of Remembrance Day as well as Truth and Reconciliation Day as stat holidays. What we have proposed here in this draft personnel policy update is to include both Remembrance Day and Truth and Reconciliation Day to provide the staff the opportunity to observe these days when they occur on a regular workday from Monday to Friday.
Thank you. So we've had multiple discussion on this. Is there any further questions as how it's been presented? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion's carried. Moving over to the update on the off-road vehicles. Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Manley, seconded by Councillor Williams, that bylaw number 5542, being a bylaw to regulate the use of off-road vehicles, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Thank you. And I believe we have Trevor speaking on this. Good morning, Trevor, again.
I should have just stayed put. Excuse me. Yes, Council. So in front of you now is a bit of a housekeeping modification to our off-road vehicle bylaw, which requires Council's approval just to update the schedule, allowing which roads the ATV clubs are allowed to operate on. As you'll see listed, it's 3 very small sections of County Road, and it's really just a connecting link, a lot, or not even a part lot width, just for them to get to some of the township's road allowances. The one length that's any significant length on a county road, it's 5 kilometers, but it's a very rural section of County Road 3, and staff have no concerns. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. So do we have any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. Moving to item 8.3 in regards to transfer of County Road 36 in the township of South Stormont.
It's moved by Councillor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Lang, that bylaw number 5543, being a bylaw to remove an upper tier road from the county highway system and have it form part of a highway system for the township of South Stormont, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed, and that the Director of Corporate Services clerk be authorized to amend all existing agreements and bylaws referencing County Road 36 between County Road 15 and County Road 2, and that the Director of Financial Services be authorized to make one-time payment of $212,500 upon transfer in 2026, and another one-time payment of $212,500 on April 15th, 2027 to the Township of South Stormont, and that the Director of Transportation Services be authorized to sign all agreements necessary to complete the transfer.
Thank you, and I'd like to welcome Mr. Harper on to elaborate a little bit more.
Yep. Thank you, Warden. Hello again, County Council. So if you recall, back in December, we talked during budget deliberations about the possible transfer of County Road 36 to the township. The township's interested in acquiring this road allowance to make sure that the entrances and things will suit their standards. At this point, we've settled on, well, we came to you with a number that we felt was going to bring it to a like new state prior to that transfer, and the township is going to accept that in the 2 one-time payments. So the transfer agreement has been reviewed by township staff, and therefore we're sort of ready to proceed with the official transfer for this winter season. Some bylaws will be updated through housekeeping, things like rate of speed bylaw. The transfer, it'll come out of ours and be added into the townships at their next meeting. So there's some minor housekeeping changes that go along with this. So looking for sort of county council approval. Happy to answer any questions. Ultimately, once this bylaw is passed, it won't come into effect until the township signs their bylaw, and then through, I guess, your direction, I'll be permitted to sign that transfer agreement. So that's how that will work. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? I'll start with Councillor McGillis.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. It's just a comment. South Stormont Council is fully endorsing this transaction and transfer. I just wanted to, I know that the first agreement was the total amount in 1 year, but the council decided to put which is not a problem, but have 2 different payments the first and second year, which is okay. But we just can't do as much as we wanted to do with the first year, so maybe the timing is okay the way it is. So just wanted to say we're 100% in favor of this.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. Cameron, if you want to stay there, we will move on to the sale of surplus land at the corner of County Road 15 and Maple Street. Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor Williams, that bylaw number 5544, being a bylaw to authorize the sale of property legally described as Concession 4, Part Lot 31, being Part 1 on Plan 52R8970, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed, and that the Director of Transportation Services be authorized to execute the sale documents on behalf of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Harper.
Thank you, Warden, and through you. Back in October, we were approached, actually prior to October, the report was in October, we were approached by the adjacent landowner bordering some county property. The parcel that we're looking to dispose of is irregularly shaped, and it came to be because the road was realigned for some intersection improvements. We've sort of, and through council resolution, decided that this is surplus to our needs, and that through an exemption through our disposal of land bylaw, we could sell it to the adjacent landowner at fair market value. So this is a report coming back with the appraisal, the number, and looking for county council approval to sell it for that, hoping that the proceeds from that sale will go into the forestry reserve for the acquisition of other forested properties. The $13,000, so that was done through an appraiser, a local appraiser who reviewed other similar type lot sizes for sale. I guess the adjacent landowner also paid for the legal survey to make sure that we had the proper road widening dedication. So there were some additional charges to them as well, in addition to the $13,000 that they're going to be paying. So, and happy to answer any questions if council has any.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motions carry. Moving on to our South Nation River hazards mapping, Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Williams, seconded by Councillor Manley, that bylaw number 5545, being a bylaw to authorize an agreement with South Nation River Conservation Authority, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Thank you. And we have Director Peter Young to speak on this. Go ahead, Peter.
Thank you, Warden. As mentioned in the report, this is to have an agreement with South Nation, the City of Ottawa, and Prescott Russell on updated floodplain mapping for the entire South Nation River. We've worked closely with them over the last couple of years and put money in budget for 2025, 2026. This would confirm the commitment for the 2027, 2028 funding, and we're pleased to see that there was a large grant received by the Conservation Authority, so most of the project funding would be done by others. But this will help so many of our communities like Chrysler and Chesterville, and may open up areas for development, or at least have more refined mapping instead of each person having to do their own mapping.
The word grant is music to our ears, so that's any questions from council? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you, Peter. Moving on to our consent agenda, Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor Williams, that all items listed under the consent agenda section of the agenda be received for information purposes.
Any questions or comments in regards to our consent agenda? Seeing none, all in favor of receiving them? Motion is carried. Moving on to our boards and committee, starting with mine. So I was fortunate enough, after our last council meeting, I had the opportunity to I met with one of the representatives from Alto after that meeting that we had with them in Kingston at our last Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus. It was basically one-on-one discussion, giving us, but at our August 13th meeting, we had a resolution that was passed by the caucus in regards to putting a halt, out of respect, to pushing everything back after the election. So nothing will be, no discussions will be had with Alto before October 26th, once the elections are done. So that's where the caucus stands. On July 31st, I had the opportunity to go to the 2B race opening ceremonies, which was my first time at the, Sunday was a little, they were getting wet in the water, but for people going to watch, on Saturday, I had the opportunity to attend the Highland Games, which I thought I was going for a couple hours to represent, and it turned into 10. So a lot of people hadn't seen in a long time, so we had a great time. August 8th and 12th was both the opening ceremonies for the Williamstown Fair as well as the South Mountain Fair, which was really well. I can comment on South Mountain, the way they did their, where they have their opening ceremonies actually the day before the fair starts, which is nice to get all the board members to be able to go and enjoy that evening, because once that fair starts, I'm sure lots of yous that are on board members are filled with tasks to do. So that was good. And last is we did attend, most of us were at the AMO conference. Just quickly in Cole's notes, I did, which regards to the county, so we had the Ministry of Education with Minister Calandra in regards to rural school programming, clarity on the trustees' role, and the moratorium on school closures, which possibly Councillor St. Pierre will go maybe further with that. Ministry of Health, we got the opportunity to discuss the provincial approval for an MRI machine with regards to the Winchester, so I was appreciative to get requested to attend with, along with North Dundas. We had with our delegation with Ministry of Transportation in regards to 138 was with PA Gruel. The detailed design is underway. Now we're looking for feedback. They're actually requesting feedback even from the general public and ourselves. We would like, so they've completed most of their work at the south end in regards to the roundabout in South Stormont. They have 10 intersections that are being looked at. And if you look at the EA study that was done by Stantec, when we get to our area from 43 to 417, there was only 2. The third one was added, which is the unfortunate fatal accident that took place at McNeil was already added to it. We are now advocating, there's La Flèche Road and El Air, which is at the GFL depot. Nothing is being thought of in regards to the A, which I feel needs to be looked at. So that was put on the discussions to for the detailed design, as well as McLean, which is a road that goes into Moose Creek, making sure that residents of Moose Creek have a safe access and exit off the 138 moving forward. And the last request is with the work that's being done at Highland or the Maxville exit. Is that what's the name of that exit? Hey? Island Road? Okay. So the work that's being done, I think, will go over 2 seasons, which might fall into the 2028 work that hopefully will start. But if they could maybe start from north heading south and dealing, a lot of people will be avoiding Highland Road, they will be taking 38 and 22, which will be a lot of bigger volumes. So the request is possibly if they could start the work. Also, I attended for a long-term care with joint with the City of Cornwall in regards to capital funding for the Glen Store Dunn Lodge. So over $500,000 we invested this year in capital investment. Over the next 5 years, they're expecting $4.7 million will be needed, and it will be very difficult to attain without additional provincial funding. A couple more. So I had one, the Municipal Affairs and Housing. So in regards to DC charges, we had a meeting with the ministry looking at our DC charge. So we did our study in North Stormont, but we haven't implemented anything, waiting on the first announcement that came through, and I believe South Dundas is in the same boat, and many of our municipalities do not have DC charges. Before the conference started, they had the announcement from both Ministry of Infrastructure and MMAH that they are now allocating $1 billion between the province and the feds that will go towards municipalities that do not have DC charges. So the criteria is, I think there's more to come in the next week. The first intake is to take place October 29th. So I'm sure there'll be more to come as far as how it will roll out on some of that funding. We also, my last one, with the Ministry of Infrastructure, I supported North Glengarry in regards to the reconstruction of the Alexandria Main Street, replacing all the underground infrastructure, deliver the compliant sidewalk, safer crossing, traffic calming, and street parking. So it's an $11 to $15 million project, which is over a 1.3 kilometer strip through. So we're basically, the EA is complete. Preliminary design should be done by the fourth quarter of this year. So it's a joint township and county ventures. Everything is aligned. We're looking at a project length would be 2 years, and we're shovel ready, so it's something that now funding could take place if good applications come through. And then last, through the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus, it's not in our agenda, but we do have the caucus, the 2026 conference advocacy that we can maybe get onto our correspondence for our next meeting. Basically, we met Ministry of Municipal Affairs, Rural Affairs, Finance, Health, Infrastructure, and basically our advocating is in regards to the Eastern Ontario Economic Transformation Action Plan, which was tendered out and now we're starting to roll with. There's the HST reinvestment rebate that we're looking at. The federal government's so the money we get back from the HST rebate, we get the full 5% from the federal, but we only get the difference of the 1.76. We don't get the full 8% from the province. Why that's so, that seems like nobody knows. So there's that allocation. We would like to have the full 8% given to us of that 1.76 that's missing, but it would have to go towards infrastructure, not just on our operating budget. So that is which a lot of our ministry departments, we're getting somewhat some strong support, so that will be moving forward, hopefully with commitments from the province. There's the provincial standardized assessment system, which is same as our plans that we have in place as far as our asset management, but it's for the province to know where they stand and where they allocate that money. So they want to try, similar to our FRIs, would be that aid to help out. And last is secondary triage for low acuity calls with our EMS, so that we can kind of direct it in the proper area and remove some of these calls that would free up time for the more serious calls. So with that said, it's and I'll take questions before I go to the next one. So I'll start with Councillor William and then Councillor Broad.
Well, Mr. Warden, you missed one other that you attended, because I was there, and it was the EORN, the final Cell Gap project celebration event. It was held in Rockland last week. And so there were all kinds of dignitaries there. It was a very well-attended event, and basically we're celebrating the finalization of that Cell Gap project with Rogers. That was a almost $350 million project. So you were there.
You're correct. I apologize. I was there. So what happened there is I had it in my phone prior, and then I removed it, and I was on Wednesday. I didn't bother putting it in my phone. So yet last night I was going through my phone to give me dates. So no, it was very well attended. The chair of the caucus was there from Peterborough. Actually, she had the opportunity. She was at AMO, so it kind of helped. But no, that was now if we can line up to finalize the broadband aspect of the internet, but the cell gap is all complete. It's all go to Councillor Broad.
Yeah, thank you, Warden. And I'd like to say for the wardens before us, I know in the last 4 years that I've been sitting at this table, any of the conferences are very busy for delegations as you're representing not only your own municipality, but the counties and the Wardens Caucus. But Warden Landry, I think you had 14, it has to be a record. I think you did 14 meetings in those 3 days. So I want to say thank you for your time you put in and your efforts that you put in and keeping your calendar straight and getting from place to place. But I also want to thank you, and I'd like to thank North Dundas as well, for the Winchester Hospital delegation that we were part of as well, South Dundas. And I wanted to comment that we met with Health Minister Jones, but in the room not only was the warden and Mayor Fraser and myself, but we had 3 other MPPs from across Ontario supporting us in that delegation. Obviously our own MPP, Nolan Quinn, but Sarah Zinn and D'Souza were in that room. So just showing that from an Eastern Ontario standpoint, the support that the Winchester Hospital and all of us get, I know through all the Glengarrys and the Stormonts as well, are other ministers that are in the area are supporting all the things we're doing in SDG as well. So I wanted to comment on that and highlight that. That was really, really good to see those ministers there. And thank you, Warden.
Thank you very much. It was 13 that I had, and I got to say for any past warden or future warden, it is something where it's busy, but there is a reward once you go through the steps and sit in on all these. And fair comment, which I should have mentioned. So MPP Quinn and Sarrazin. Also at the caucus, we have MPP Clark, that is a very strong advocate for Eastern Ontario. So I think most of all our delegations in regard had both our local, whether it was Sarrazin or Mr. Quinn. So it's really well noted to see the support we're getting from our local representatives. Okay, any other questions in regards? Seeing none, we will move on to our Joint Liaison Committee, which I believe is...
Meeting
Martin?
coming up 17th, I believe.
Yeah,
Mr.
September.
Steele? Yep.
Thank you. Moving to the Library Board, Councillor Broad.
Yeah, thank you, Warden. So no meeting in the summer months. Our next meeting is September 23rd in Finch, in the lovely municipality of North Stormont. But don't forget, SDG Reads is coming up with our wonderful author, Sherry Lepin. Her new book is out, Getting Away with Murder. So you can pick that up at your local libraries, either by purchase or by checkout. So don't forget about that. And those tickets will be going on sale in September for anybody interested in SDG Reads. Thank you.
And is that a bookmark I see in there?
Yes, I picked it up on Saturday, and I'm a couple chapters in.
So mine is about that same gap there. Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, and to piggyback to Councillor Broad's enthusiasm for all things library, I look behind me and I just want to make sure that Director Luck is with us. There's been a new initiative put in place to promote the library and the library system in SDG. And if I may, Mr. Warden, have Director Luck speak to that.
I don't know if you're putting her on the spot, but I will
hope
ask.
I am. She's well armed for that.
Would you like to add to that, Mrs. Luck?
Hi. Councillor Fraser, sorry, which initiative? Yes. So this initiative is very actually close to Councillor Fraser's heart. With the help of the community library, and we've been reaching out to small and large businesses, and one of them would be Lactalis. And Councillor Fraser helped us secure communications within Lactalis to promote the library from within. We've also approached McEwen. We've approached Lancier Bakery. We've approached Ross Video, and including a number of other organizations scattered across SDG counties. This is an initiative to spread the word of the wonderful things that the library offers, and that it's a free resource for anyone who works or lives within SDG counties. So thank you, Councillor Fraser, for bringing that up. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to it, and yes, it caught me a little off guard, but thank you.
Mr. Warden, if I may continue. Director Luck, I really wasn't looking for any accolades about that. It was your initiative and Emily's initiative. And this project that Rebecca speaks about is to spread the word, and as our library board has talked about, with the need to spread the word and find ways to spread the word and to promote the library board. And so my involvement truly is, she expressed my name too often, is just to make a phone call and bring people together. But it really does support the efforts of the library staff, the director, and the library board to ensure that all things library are brought to the attention of people that may be able to take advantage of it. And much like Councillor Broad, I'm quite happy to be able to talk about some of the successes.
Thank you. Moving on to our police board, Councillor McGillis.
There's a meeting on the 2nd of September on Wednesday.
Could I just add something, Mr. Warden?
Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, just we did do something. We didn't have a meeting in between, but we did do something. We hosted a barbecue for the OPP at the Maxville Highland Games, the Friday afternoon and the Saturday afternoon during shift changes, because pretty well everybody that works at the OPP detachment comes through that Highland Games at some point between those 4 shifts. And so board members barbecued for a couple hours in the afternoon just to get to know the members and to provide them a little supper.
Thank you. Any comments from the Eastern Ontario Health Unit? Councillor Williams or Councillor McGillis?
I can talk about the respiratory season update, if you will. Dr. Paul said there's a lot of low levels of COVID, which is good news. Preparing for a new season, all his ducks are in order for the flu vaccinations. Good news is there's 50,000 doses going to be hopefully offered and being available for the nasal spray mist and between Ottawa and SDG, and that's people that are afraid of needles has the opportunity to go take that avenue. We also talked about our pharmacies. They give the flu shots as well, but he mentioned that they should be at the table too, at the provincial table, because they have a lot of information that probably would be, it would add to, giving the proper and correct information so they can make decisions. So that was a good idea. I thought that was a great thing that they're involving the pharmacists on it to get to the table. They talked a little bit about the strategic plan, and they did quite a bit of work so far. It was a great amount of work. HR with HR and community relations, and part of that was the organizational restructuring, and they're better aligning with restructuring under the ministry requirements. So they're working on those things too as well. And what else do I have here? I wrote. They said that there was a small deficit of $36,000 because of the dental program that they have in place, and it's because they had the amount of kids was like triple that they expected. So they figure, but this is only in this quarter, but at the end of the year, everything will work out in terms of being in the black. So everything's good so far. So that's all I have. Anything else? Oh, well, we actually asked Karma to keep her eyes on the road, just in case, But thanks for being there anyway. Appreciate that.
Perfect, thank you. Moving on to the Glen Dunn Lodge.
No summer meeting, next meeting September 16th.
Perfect, thank you. St. Lawrence River Institute, Councillor Fraser? No, it's Councillor Gaino.
Through Mr. Warden, no meeting during the summer months. Next meeting is Thursday.
Thank you. Moving on to the Raisin South Nation Source Water Protection Committee. Nothing to report, Teresa. Thank you. Municipal Advisory, Councillor Fraser. See none. Rural Education Committee, Councillor St. Pierre.
Thank you. A couple things. Yes, at AMO, we did have an opportunity to meet with Minister Paul Calandra on the education side of life. A couple good things came out. We talked about two, maybe three subjects, but two important subjects was the lifting of the moratorium. Minister Calandra flat out said that does not apply to any rural schools. There is no plans to close any rural schools, as they all recognize how viable rural schools are in Eastern Ontario and as community hubs. So that was great news. Second thing we talked about was primarily led by Councillor Fraser, but it was about programming in our rural schools. And I think we've all recognized that we have a little bit of a disadvantage when we're competing against urban city schools in terms of the programs that's offered to them versus offered to our rural schools. Although we know agriculture is of great importance, we know we're beyond agriculture as well. And as we reported a couple times already on we'll just call it the robotics program that's offered by Scott Curry at North Dundas. We would like to see more programming opportunities to better educate and prepare our students for post-secondary schools or for the real world. Minister Calandra flat out again said that the Ford government has recognized that deficiency and he's been given a mandate by Premier Ford of looking at school programming and to enhance. He did say, though, Mr. Calandra is very honest, as we all know. He did say don't expect to have every program in our rural schools because that's just not a viable solution, but obviously they're going to look at enhancing that for us, and hopefully we will see that over the next couple years at least, if not sooner. I'm not sure if there's anything that Chair Manley or Councillor Fraser wants to add on to that, but it was very positive, and it was very well attended. I know that Mr. Lang and, like I say, Jeff and Tony and CAO was there, so it was great to actually see him. I think it's a third meeting we've had with them, but I think this was the most positive and direct and meeting that we've had. So I think that just shows that if you continue meeting with the ministers and just keep meeting and telling the story, I think it's a positive outcome. So thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Williams.
Thank you for your indulgence. Was there any talk about enhanced French immersion or bringing French immersion to those schools that
Yeah, no, we didn't get specific on the
No?
programming.
Okay.
Certainly, I think the next term of council, there's a couple things that we should continue. I'm saying we, because I'll hopefully be part of that process as well, is French immersion, enhancement of French immersion, and transportation. I think that's a key issue as well that we need to tackle. So unfortunately, out of a 7 or a 10-minute discussion, it was hard to jam everything in.
Thank you. Moving on to the SDG Forest Working Group. Anything to report, Councillor Lang? Seeing none. Councillor Broad, in regards to Border Mayors Alliance.
Frustration. I'll leave comments to the Prime Minister and the Premier at this time.
You were sent back home. And last, we'll look at our Conservation Authority Transition Committee. Anything to report, Councillor Gainto?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Through you, the Transition Committee is yet to meet. However, if it's all right with you, I'm going to pass it over to Councillor Densham. He had some information you wanted to share.
Go ahead, Councillor Densham.
Thank you, Councillor Gainto. And the province is moving quickly with a consolidation effort for such a huge endeavor that's going on right now. As you know, the 4 CAs that are in our area are being amalgamated into one regional CA. And there was a recent announcement put out by the province talking about what the board formation will be when the board is formed, I believe in February 2027. Effectively, the current boards for each of the 4 will be dissolved, and then a new board will be brought up in February 2027. And so now they're putting together formulas that look at what the formula will be for how the new board will be constituted. A recent announcement came out from the province that suggested that SDG would receive 2 seats on that new board, and the entire board would be made up of 14, would be the count at this point in time. And generally speaking, it's at the city, single-tier municipalities and county level is what the boards will be made up of. However, in that report, what was quickly recognized is that the numbers that were used to pull that formula together, which is based solely on population, the population numbers were wrong. So if those numbers are corrected, we will SDG is likely to drop down to 1 board position instead of 2 board positions if the new numbers are calculated. And just to put that into perspective, right now in our area, if you count up the number of elected officials that are on boards for CAs in our area, right now we have 6 or 7, I believe, 4 in Raisin, and then 3. One is a public appointment, but so we have 2 councillors that are on S&C. So that basically means that we'll be going down from about 6 or 7 elected officials representing SDG down to 1, and that concerns me if that's the way it goes. And The one thing that I specifically have a challenge with accepting is that the new formula for forming the new board for the regional CA is based solely on population. And I understand population. I think population needs to be part of the calculation because ultimately it comes down to that's where the ratepayer money is coming from. But as we recognize on a regular basis, this then overlooks again the rural aspect of who we are. When you look at the size of SDG in the total new area, I estimate that we're over 20% of the area. And as we recognize, CAs are, because of the nature of their business, is based as much, if not more, on geography than it is on population. So from my perspective, a decision at the board level that's being made with only one representative on somebody who represents over 20% of the regional area, we don't have a lot of representation as far as I'm concerned. A comment was made earlier as well about the diversity of the level of support that is, or the level of decision-making that's happening, CA versus CA, in the east side of SDNG. It's a little bit more flexible in how CA decisions are made than on the west, and so as things amalgamate, again, I think it's going to be very, very important that we have a strong voice on that board, and I just don't feel that one board position is necessarily going to be enough. So I would love to see them add to the equation geography. Right now, the current board makeup, as I mentioned, is around 14 individuals that will be on the board of the new regional CA. Some regional CAs have up to 27 positions, board positions right now. So I think there's room for them to add. So I would love to see us advocate for them to add, not just to keep the population calculation, but let's say for anybody who's under 20 board seats on the new CA, if anybody has greater than 15%, represents 15% or more of the geographic area of the regional CA, that they get an additional board member. Now, as I mentioned earlier, things are moving very, very fast. So my fear is that if we wait for another meeting before we start aggressively advocating, we may miss our window of opportunity. So my ask of council would be that the people who are in touch, like Councillor Gano, our warden, our CAO, just to give some level of direction that they can aggressively advocate for at least 2 board seats on our new regional CA, so that we can make sure that SDNG is fairly, as fairly as possible, represented on the new board.
So before I go to questions, so I was made aware of last week during AMO, so of the changes, and kind of I think the email went to our CEO as well. This agenda was already in place. It was hard, and I think our CAO was away for a couple of days, so it's something I was looking at bringing back forward, working with Carl over at the South Nation, the existing board, seeing Councillor Densham as well as Councillor Guindon, but having, and I'm not sure, is Allison still acting as Raisin? Do we know? Like, I'm not sure what the role is there. Maybe
Allison is kind of transitioning to her new role, and we have Lisa Vandelight is now our acting CAO at the Reason, and Lachlan and I are both on that board as well.
So I would maybe recommend to get in touch with both Lisa, Carl, Jamie. If you, I think it is something maybe to move faster than sooner than later would be because of the watershed. If you look at what we occupy in SDNG versus many other counties around, I think it would be worth to make sure that we are heard and looking at keeping at least the 2 members, which gives us, what is the count right now? If we look at the 4 region, what would be the seats allocated through between Ottawa and Prescott Russell and ourselves? Do we know yet?
Yes, so the most current report was, because Ottawa is by far the largest population, they would have 4 seats. And that's simply because they're capped at 4. And I think they may be asking for additional seats even beyond that, but I don't know that for sure. Right now, the allocation based on the report that came out from the province is we would be the only one that would have 2 seats. Everybody else would have 1. for a total of 14 positions. However, UCPR has recognized that their population numbers were grossly understated. So when they take their population numbers back up, what will happen is we'll flip positions. UCPR will then go to 2 positions because it's proportionally allotted, up to 2 positions, and we would drop down to 1 position. If that's the only correction, there may be other corrections as well. I don't know. It feels like the report is using antiquated and potentially inconsistent population numbers. But I do think that once everything plays out, if it's purely population-based, we are most likely at 1, or at least very close to the line.
Perfect. So if we can get the administration maybe to follow up and see if we can advocate for this as best we can and to bring back a report to council. Any other question? I'll look at Councillor Bergeron and then Councillor McGillis.
Thank you, Warden. I just wanted to definitely agree that we have to ask them for watershed coverage. We have a lot of watershed coverage, and that hasn't been thought of. It's been population-wise. Well, I think it definitely needs to be what our watershed size is. So we really have to push that point. Thank you.
Agreed. Councillor McGillis.
Thank you. I was going to say the same thing, but, you know, everybody had the same fear that we probably will lose a voice, a good, strong voice. I know 1 is not enough. I agree with what Councillor Dencham is saying. Do you think it would be okay or be smart if we sent a motion from our township too as well and pushed on them? That's more to advocate, give that extra boost maybe, hopefully, and your township too as well. And just to hopefully that with all any of the counties, they'll make some movement on that, because I think we need that extra person there for sure.
On that note, that could be shared with all our local municipalities to look at supporting what the venture that we're looking for. So good. So with that said, I think that is all. So we can move towards our key information, which we're looking at the Great River, Great Future Medical Recruitment Campaign and Community Orientation Project. I would get Kat will be speaking to this. Welcome.
Thank you. Through Mr. Warden. Good morning, Council. It is my pleasure to join you in chambers this morning to provide an update on our collaborative effort with the Great River Ontario Health Team. This is our Great River, Great Future medical recruitment campaign. As Council may remember, SDG, I'm just going to quickly shift my notes. My apologies. Council may remember that SDG Counties received $68,000 of Rural Ontario Development, or ROD, funding earlier this year from the Ontario Ministry of Rural Affairs to develop and implement a regional healthcare recruitment campaign and community orientation program. The total project budget is up on the screen, but we're very excited to sort of have leveraged all of that through a number of partners across the region and across sectors. SDG Counties has contributed $10,000 towards the overall project budget, but we also continue to offer administrative support in kind by myself and my colleagues. This project is really as a result of partnership, and I'm sort of across the broader region of all the townships, Cornwall, Akwesasne, Russell Township, and parts of Southeast Ottawa. Before moving forward within the details of the project, I just want to highlight that this really does align with your SDG County Strategic Plan Priority 1 of Partnerships and Collaboration for Health, in which you gave direction to us to collaborate with our partners in healthcare and with recruitment. So project activities are in threefold. So we have smaller working groups across the region, prioritizing regional community promotion, collaborative recruitment efforts, and the development of a welcoming and orientation kind kind of strategy. So I've broken up my presentation to sort of highlight all of this. On the screen, you'll see highlights of our community promotion, which includes a brand new website, fully bilingual marketing assets, and various tools that we're using to share in our recruitment efforts. And the bottom piece here is actually something we're very proud of, which is a centralized intake form used by all the employers in the region to really streamline those who are interested in moving to the region, where it comes into one place and we can kind of I don't want to use them, but triage and sort of send them out to the appropriate employers depending on what sort of employment opportunity they're looking for. It's also allowing us to navigate if they have specific questions about family or education, housing, and we can really support them even before we've made that first contact. And then if we move forward, we've developed a tremendous amount of shared marketing assets. So we have a shared social media accounts, highlighting a few here. Our brands is sort of carried through all of those assets. We're working with partners in the Eastern Ontario Physician Recruitment Alliance. We're also partnering with what is sort of a national effort called Healthcare Infusions. You may have seen this sort of throughout national media. It's gained a lot of traction to recruit American physicians and nurses into our region. We've created a number of recruitment videos, and I'm with your patience. We'll show one at the end of the presentation to make sure that you're all kind of captured into the way we're promoting ourselves in our region. And then finally, we've also worked to develop a number of advertising campaigns that are going specifically in front of healthcare practitioners, so through medical journals, university career booklets, and targeting magazines and papers that we know are being delivered directly to professionals we're trying to engage. We've also really tried to champion collaborative recruitment efforts. So it is no secret that, across the region, there's an effort to send representatives from our region to other areas of Ontario or Canada to promote this region. And we target specific healthcare conferences and training events and colleges. So instead of having just a few people go, we've really tried to work with all of our partners so that that's a shared effort, and everyone's really speaking to all of the same benefits across the region. In the past, what we would find is you would have all of the hospitals from the region would go, as well as the health centers, as well as the municipalities, and there was a bit of a competition. And so this effort has really helped us work together. We all speak to everyone's strengths and assets, and I just really want to highlight this on the screen. This was the Rural and Remote Family Medicine Conference, which happened in Quebec City, and featured here, we have representatives not only from the Glengarry Memorial Hospital, but also the Cornwall Community Hospital. They have become great allies in this, where prior to a lot of this work, they didn't engage and talk, but recently they've been engaged. They have their own meetings where they talk about it, and they refer back and forth between the different hospitals. And I think that's the collaboration we're really trying to see and champion through working together. Just a really big kudos to anyone who's going out into these events. It's always very challenging, and I just want to commend them for those efforts. Another part of really orienting people to the region has been developing a series of tours and community orientation efforts. And so here's a schedule that's for an upcoming tour to highlight and take people physically into our communities. And then, so you'll see here, Lancaster, Williamstown, Alexandria, Maxville, Cornwall. We really wanted to take them into little pockets. We have further tours scheduled for September, October, November. The goal here is to not only take them into the communities, they go into the cafes, they have lunch, but they're also visiting some of our key employers, getting to ask questions for professionals working in the region. And we have seen that this really does help people feel comfortable, feel like they can see themselves in our community. And so we've worked together with our local township EDOs, with our employers in the areas to really ensure that the tours highlight and put our best foot forward. So we're very proud of this. It should be noted, this is the first time this effort like this has ever really happened. So we're also trying it out. We're not sure exactly what needs to shift in the future, but we'll bring back some updates with success in the future. So I know we had a few representatives here from council join us for our campaign launch in Winchester in the end of June. So as I mentioned, this work is through partnership with the province of Ontario. And so when we were able to announce the funding, we tried to invite as many of our partners to the day to celebrate as possible. Really proud to have really have launched this collaborative effort. And so that's just a photo there with our partners across the Great River Ontario Health Team with our MPP Quinn featured there. So, we can't talk about the work without talking about its successes. So even in the first month, so having launched at the end of June, we have seen 23 inquiries and employment referrals across our full region. We're really excited by that number. This is also one of the first times we've actually tracked that number, so I can't give you a show of that change, but that centralized inquiry form is really making a difference in helping us understand who's interested in our region and how we can support them. Very pleased to share that we have one confirmed new hire even within that first month, and that was through a referral from the Cornwall Community Hospital to the Glengarry Memorial Hospital. The candidate wasn't a great fit for Cornwall, they were a great fit for the Glengarry Memorial Hospital, and so we're really excited that, again, that partnership, those referrals are happening. I think that's just a shift in what we really want to see for our region. We've had a lot of engagement online. Hopefully you've seen, if you're engaged with social media, you've seen that. We've done a series of small videos, and they are definitely paying off. Lots of what we would call video through play, which is that people watch the whole video, which, again, if you're engaged with social media, that's so rare these days. And so this is actually a success. People want our content, want the information, and then not only are they seeing stuff, but they are clicking through to our website. They're also clicking through to job postings. So even in the first month, getting over 75 clicks to specific job postings is of great success. And we've heard through our partners that they're seeing a lot of interest in applications for positions, a lot of resumes sent, even if there isn't something there. And so we're really confident that there's some quality candidates interested in our region. And we will continue to sort of pursue these sort of avenues for promoting our region. So moving forward, we do have funding until the end of March, but the efforts are really intended to build the toolkit that we will use for the next few years to continue to recruit into the region and support people relocating. So you will see more social media and video and print ads coming into our region and across. We do have very targeted approaches for getting people outside of Canada, especially in Francophone communities. We're seeing a lot of engagement with our French content, which is really satisfying and supporting a lot of our needs for increasing access to French healthcare for the region. We're very excited, but we have some very targeted plans for that. We will be attending more recruitment events in the fall. I do always say, if you're really interested and want to get on the ground and see how this feels, you are always all invited to join us and speak highly of our community and why it would be excellent to move here. All of you are really definitely the best advocates for our region, and so please consider yourself invited. If you're interested, you can connect with me. There will be, again, the series of tours. Similarly, if you're interested in engaging with one of those tours that comes through your region, we would love to have you even join us for lunch. We would definitely welcome you. And I know many physicians and nurses and health professionals in the past who've come and engaged with elected officials that really did support their commitment. They really felt part of the community that way. And then we have sort of a final little twist. We know that the tours are needed, and so we're working to develop a GIS self-guided tour that links with Google Apps. Not to get too technical, but the idea being, if people are really interested in certain assets in our region, that we'll support them in developing a custom self-guided tour so that they can really explore the region on their own moving forward and into next year. So with that, I would like to take a moment to show you one of our videos.
A heartbeat. A simple sound that reminds us we're all alive, connected, and here to care for the communities we call home. Working to carry our collective heartbeat is the Great St. Lawrence River, running through the communities of Akwesasne, Cornwall, SDG Counties, Russell Township, and parts of rural southeast Ottawa. Located between Ottawa and Montreal and on the U.S. border, the region is brimming with urban energy, vibrant downtowns, welcoming neighborhoods, and rural charm. Bilingual and multicultural communities are woven into everyday life, and newcomers are welcomed with openness and warmth. This This is a place where everyone belongs. With commutes measured in minutes, lower housing costs, and easy access to services, our unique rhythm offers you time. Time for family, time for yourself, time to enjoy where you live. The heartbeat of our community is central to those working in healthcare. Teams are collaborative, supportive, and deeply connected to the people they serve. Colleagues become friends who value your expertise and have your back. So, can you hear it? Come work, live, belong in the heart of Eastern Ontario.
Thank you. And with that, I'll pass to you for questions.
That's always good to see. So any kind of promotion, you look at the area, looking at that, there's times you're wondering, okay, where am I here? So it is wonderful to see and to our region and bring much needed help to our sector. So I'll look at questions from council. I think, I got Councillor Fraser. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. And I did have an opportunity, Ms. Rendak, to be at the, whenever the MPP Quinn announced the $68,000 to support the recruitment process. And a lot of energy in the room, a lot of excitement in the room that day in Winchester at the Winchester Hospital. But I just have a little story. I recently spoke to a young doctor. I needed to see someone. And she's has done her internship at WDMH and at the clinic in Winchester. And she's not from this area. She's not from a rural area, but she was immediately fell in love, and she is actively seeking to be in this area because of many of the things that the video displayed. And so you're right on track. It's excellent. And thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Warden.
No, in regards to that announcement, I was out of the country, and I believe past Warden Lang stood tall in my place, and so I appreciate that. So if I don't see any further question, thank you very much, Kat, for all that you brought forward this morning, and we will move on to Warden's term of office, and I will ask Kim to guide us in that.
Sure, thank you. And through you, Mr. Warden, there has been some renewed discussion in the past couple months about the term of office for the position of warden. So we thought we'd put together an information report before you that just stipulates the legislative process for changing the term of office. And then that also just shows you a comparison of EOWC throughout Eastern Ontario, the various terms of office for the individual wardens in the EOWC group. So it's important to note that the authority to modify the term of the warden is provided within the Municipal Act. And I'll just draw your attention, Section 219 does set out a required public process. So you do have to put out public notice and hold at least one public meeting to consider the matter. And then also in 219, it stipulates that the bylaw to change the term of office, it won't come into effect until the day the new council is organized following the first regular election after the bylaw is passed. And it also elaborates if the bylaw is passed in the year of a regular election, before voting day, it does not come into force until the new council is organized following the second regular election after the bylaw is passed. So any decision made during the current term of council that we're in now, or even the next term of council, it would not take effect until the following term, the 2030 term. So we are recommending that we bring back this item in 2027 as part of the larger strategic planning process once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. So the reason I still wanted to get some of these discussions in, maybe to basically present a report to the next council. So I feel that right now I'd like to congratulate Mayor, sorry, it's Deputy Mayor, but incoming Mayor of South Bank. So Mayor Lang, or future Mayor Lang, Mr. Guindon just had other commitments and left with us. Myself, Councillor Densham are all acclaimed in our next role, but we do have a wealth of experience in some that are departing, as in Mr. McGillis, and the incoming members that will come past our election of October 26th. So just maybe having discussion at this table, get a report done so that the next table of terms of council would kind of get input from our thoughts before we move on to the next. So I don't know if there's anybody that wants to start have some just whole discussion to move forward with this. I understand it's 2030, which is a long time, but it would give us an opportunity to discuss ways that we can work around this even for next term. So I'll start with Councillor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, through you. And I think it's a good time. Half of the members around this table have been a warden at this point now. That's Councillor McGillis, yourself, Councillor Fraser, Councillor McDonald, Councillor Williams, and myself. So 6 out of the 12 are wardens. And maybe it's a good time of quite a bit of experience, as you said, around the table of being in that seat. And I'm sure there's positives on both sides. Like your presentation today definitely highlighted how busy it can be. And the summer months tend to be that way. You go to a lot of events, and then with AMO and Roma and some of these other conferences we go to, you're extremely busy there as well. But I do think it does really, you do a lot of work there that helps our region. With the Wardens Caucus, it's quite an amazing thing to be part of, and so I think that we should have that conversation. I don't know if the time is to do it right now, or if you want staff to bring something back. I see positives on both sides, and then as far as next term goes, we can work around it a little bit. We could possibly have maybe a candidate will come forward and say, I would like to run for 2 years, and then run on that for the first year. Not necessarily that you have to keep them the second year, but at least they would have to kind of put it up front that they would like to put their name in for 2 years. So that might alleviate it. And I did notice in your thing that Prescott Russell has now moved to 2 years. So that's my thoughts at the moment. I'm kind of leaning towards maybe having more than 1 year, but curious to see what everybody else is thinking.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Densham.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Warden. And I think Councillor Lang hit on an important point here. We don't have to change the policy for somebody to run for 2 years right now. I think the struggle that I hear when I ask the questions is some people who are coming in are just not feeling comfortable. They want to give somebody else a chance to run, and I respect that, and that's great. But at the same time, the process right now allows somebody to declare or to state up front, you know what, I'm thinking about going for 2 years. And I don't have a problem with a warden being in place for 2 years. If he's doing a great job, or she is doing a great job, I support the efforts that they're doing. What I struggle with, I guess, is relinquishing the decision-making power of council to a process. What I would like to see is people not feeling timid about saying that they would like to support this county and council for a term of 2 years, and then they will have 1 year to experience that. And then if they feel that they need to backpedal it a little bit, then they can feel comfortable to do so, but they've already expressed their intentions up front. So there won't be any surprise. There shouldn't be discomfort for somebody to then say, you know what, I want to stick with the 2 years. Many committees kind of work that way right now. I sat on South Nation. Technically, the term of chair is 1 year, but the general expectation is that they'll run for 2 years. So when you put your name forward as chair, you're there for the first year. And then, depending on your personal circumstances, the feeling of the board or whatever, they can then choose to go on and not. And quite often, if they choose to go on for that second year, they often sit unattested. So that if they've expressed their intent to go for a second year and everybody feels they're doing a fabulous job, then they get the immediate support of the board at that point in time, and nobody puts their name up against them, and they just carry on. So, like I say, I think we already have the ability to run for 2 years. I would like to see us stick with the current policy. That's my personal position, because I think it already facilitates the ability to run for 2 years, and we just need to get over that discomfort of feeling that we shouldn't put our name forward just because somebody's run for 1 year. If you've done a fabulous job 1 year, I would love to support you for a second year.
Thank you. I'll look at Councillor McGillis.
Thank you. Over the years, there's been discussion about if, the person that is, or the warden that's successful doesn't have an opportunity to chair the Eastern Ontario Warden Caucus. And, like you said, there's six people here that were wardens in the past. And I was just wondering if they thought Would 2 years make a difference in terms of having the opportunity to chair the because you were there, I don't know how, I wasn't there for a little while, but that was the kind of the mindset that it wasn't, there was no opportunity there because SDG never had a chair that I ever recall. They did once. Eric chaired it once, but he was warden for 2 years at that time. So there may be a case in point. So I just thought maybe put that in perspective too, but I agree with Councillor Densham. You may not have somebody that, wants the opportunity to run for 1 year, and, they might just decline because they don't want to do it for 2 years, and then that's the policy. So if it's just 1 year, if they want to do it another year, they have the opportunity to submit their name for the second year. So I like it the way it is too. I think we should keep it at the same. If the opportunity's there for 2 years, then you can run. If it's not, then you can't force them into it.
Thank you. If you look at, I'll go to Teresa. If you look at the list right now, I believe there's 7 out of the 13 counties that are still at a 1-year term, and then some are at 2, and then you got a few that are full terms of 4 years. But comments made, it's very hard to get appointed for the first time as warden to step in a month later at a board in Kingston and basically state your name that you're going to chair something that you haven't gotten your feet wet. So that portion, once you've done it once, then I see the benefit of whether it's consecutive years or maybe putting your name in again, would have the opportunity that what you're getting into and have the opportunity to do so. But fair comment on that. I'll look at Councillor Bergeron.
Thank you, Warden. I agree with Councillor Densham. When someone is chosen warden, I haven't been there, but I assume it's a lot of work, and someone might be very in the mood to do all the work, and then once they're at the job, they go, oh, this is too much for me. My family's finding it too hard. I'm finding it too hard. And so after the 1 year, they can step down, holding their head up. They did their job for 1 year. But if they really enjoy the position and they don't mind the work, that they should have first opportunity to do a second year. So in that way, I agree with Councillor Densham.
And on that note, often the second year comes around, if we are on a 1-year term, you feel like you're stepping on toes if you say, oh, I'll go in a second time. So I think we have to change that mindset that, you know what, there's a value to go a second time. And if you're, like you mentioned, if your family, if it works for you, put it out there, but it shouldn't be something where you'd be frowned upon by your peers. I'll go to Councillor McDonald, Williams, and then Councillor Broad.
I think, and I advocated for it last time with Councillor Gaindon, would be for 2 years. I would even go 4 years. I think it structurally sets up SDG for success at all those committees. Anecdotal evidence, we had one MPP down at our Christmas party, I think, and he thought that Martin was the mayor, Councillor Lang. He's known him for 7 years. He's known me for 3. I think that any extra time matters. I think the relationships, if I were to come back here, would be greater with all of you after 1 year, 2 year, 3. The more we can do that, I think it structurally sets us up. And I can't see us getting away from feeling a little bad for stepping on toes. Like, it's a very human component. We're all compassionate individuals, care for our community, but I wouldn't want to step on Councillor Fraser's toes if I ran once and he wanted to run the next time. Like, I think structurally, it just makes sense to have as long a term as possible. And the case in point was a good highlight. Is maybe that's not what you advocated, but the one time we had a chair was the 2 years. So I think more advocacy for Eastern Ontario through the structure of 2 to 4 years would be where I'd go.
Thank you. Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I have a tendency to agree with Councillor McDonald. In as much as I don't disagree with your points, Councillor Densham, presumably if you're going to elect someone for 2 years, you've got the confidence in them that they'll be able to manage those 2 years. I think the personal component of worrying about stepping on toes, for some people, they won't be able to overcome that, and just won't put their hand up because of it. I would like to think that that would be easy enough to do, but I'm not sure it will be easy enough to do. And I think the advantages of a longer term as have already been pointed out, are greater than the risks associated with putting it in policy. So I would support a 2-year term with even the potential thought of a 4-year term, and align it with the election cycle. You know, the people that are around this table are you know, high-level public figures who come to the table with a lot to offer and the smarts to do it. And I think we should have the confidence in being able to support them in a more senior role moving forward. Thank you.
Going to Councillor Broad.
Yeah, thank you, Warden. Although I'm undecided on the decision, I think that in 2027, if this is to come to a strategic planning session, that not only this should be considered, but any option be considered. We elect a warden outside of the 12 of us for 4 years. Whatever other options there may be, I think we should consider it and then deny it, turn it down, or move forward. I just think if we're going to enter this, because there's a lot of opinions and they're all great, that's why I'm undecided, let's look at every option and then just say no to the option versus not even considering it. So I think that if we're going to bring it forward, let's bring any option forward to the table and make it somewhat of a public information opportunity as well for us to gather what our constituents may want as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I'll be second last. Councillor Manley might be the last to speak on this topic. I look around, I think that, oh, no, Councillor St. Pierre hiding in the back, so I'll be third last. The 4-year term, they're only at the upper tiers because the mayor that's elected is the warden for the 4 years in the single tiers. So the decision has been made by, as Councillor Broad is saying, the decision for the warden was made at election time at the single tier level. The mayor becomes the warden for the full years, for the full term. So whenever I see that as an option, that's, to me, is not really a true option. If someone wants to run, it's an election. I think everyone's allowed to run an election. If someone wants to run, put their name forward when they first come onto this council, that should be allowed. I know right now it's denied. You need to serve at least 1 year sitting at this table before you can put your name forward to be the warden. But barring that conversation, if you just want to run for 1 year, or then you run again for the second year, if you decide you want to run for the third year, it's an election. You should be able to put your name forward. You shouldn't be restricted just because you've had success. But to Councillor Broad's comment, there are more things to consider than just this, the public's input, what fashion does it have to happen? I would like to think all of us have been challenged by someone in the public that maybe the warden should be elected at large as a consideration. So I think we need to have a fulsome discussion, and I agree with, I believe I'm agreeing with Councillor Broad on this idea, that it's more to it than just what's here presented to us today. So I look forward to further discussions about this.
Thank you. Looking, what else around? I see Councillor St. Pierre is shrugging his shoulders.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say thank you to the warden for remembering my name 3 times in a row. That's quite an accomplishment. And if
no issues, Mike.
No, everybody's made some great points here. I do agree with Councillor Broad that we should look at everything and put everything on the table before making an informed decision. I would say just that for personally, if I was to run for a warden's position, I got to, and I think everybody has to look at where they're at in life as well. I mean, I know that my job is fairly demanding, and a 2-year term would just not mix in with being a warden. But in saying that, I certainly would like the opportunity to put my name in for a 1-year term. I think there's flexibility in that, and I'm not saying that because I'm probably other than Councillor McDonald, kind of the younger one here. Even Councillor Broad's older than I am. But no, I think there's a lot of things that we have to consider, and it's just beyond just this table here as well. It's whatever happens in life, whatever happens at your workplace. Don't think having a 4-year term outside works for most people, and I think that goes with being a deputy mayor or a mayor as well. I think you go for a position that you feel comfortable with, but also what your life will allow you to do. So I think that's a consideration as well. But I think we should just put every option on the table and just eliminate them. I have no issue with what is current, having a 1-year term with an option. I don't know. I guess I don't see there being an issue if, for instance, if we were in the year 3 or year 4 that Warden Landry want to do an extra term. I don't know if it's a toe-stepping thing. I don't think it is. I mean, at one time, I think the way it worked was South Dundas had an opportunity, then North Dundas had an opportunity, and you know, so on and so forth. And we've changed that. It's kind of an open form now. So I don't think having that second term, and if a warden want to go for a second term, it is toe-stepping. I just think it gives that opportunity that if you are doing a good job and we feel confident, or the board feels confident in you, and you want to do it, that you just get reelected. But I am open for further discussion about that.
Thank you. So any other comments or to add? Jeff, as an outside voice, being councillor, do you want to add your comments?
Just that I think the opportunity for more people to be involved in it. I like the system that's set up right now. As long as there's an opportunity to do a second term, if you're willing to do that or whatever, and. But I think more people involved. I don't think 4 years would work in this situation. That's my feeling. I think sort of a 2-year max would be where I would go.
Go ahead, Councillor McGillis.
I'll just add to what I said earlier. You know, if you're looking at a 4-year term, most of the people around here have another job that's 40 hours a week, at least that or more. And there's no way that you could run for mayor and be the warden and have a full-time job at the same time. I was the warden, and just being the mayor and the warden, that kept me busy, because the year I was warden, it was a busy year. It was lots of money that was thrown around back in the day. The stimulus funding was there, and it was great. But I don't think it's possible to do the job right. 4 years is just doesn't make any sense to me at all. 2 years, possibly. That's what I wanted to say. That before.
Thank you. So I guess I get last comments. So the way I look at it, so as members here that were on a term of warden can kind of outshow. I do work 40 hours, if not more, on my regular job. I was committed at the warden's duties, still am, but it is demanding. You do have families, so with your first year coming up, it would have been difficult to, at the time, say, oh, I'll do a 2-year term, unless you retire. You're removing a lot of candidates. If you look at people, as Councillor Manley mentioned, you remove people that will say, you know what, I can't do it. Third option or thing is, you can have somebody that's in there for a 4-year term, but do not have the of going for the chair of the caucus, that might just sit there. So it all depends on the individuals that you're putting. You could have somebody there 2 years that will make a bigger impact than somebody that's there for 4. So there's no right or wrong answers. Right now, it's something that if you are retired, committed, you can really enjoy. And it's one of the most rewarding jobs I've had, to be able to go from east to west. It's wonderful to be able to meet the people and everything that comes with it. But at the same time, last week I think I was at I'm an old dinosaur. I've been there for 40 years, so they'll allow me. But I was basically 6.5 hours at my day job last week with all the commitments from AMO and EORN and everything that took place. So it is demanding. It's something you don't want to deter somebody from having the opportunity. And if they say, well, I can't do 2 years, we might be looking at a selected few versus the option. So I'm probably just cluttering now the report because it's putting the good discussions that we've had kind of back up in the air. But I would look at, as mentioned, I think Councillor Densham said it right, is not to be afraid to say, you know what, I'm willing to do 2 years and make your statement known and well known. Once you are there, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're not doing a good job, the opportunity, and if it's not a good job, it's more if you're not committed. And we see that, okay, there's something missing, and I'm not looking at anybody on that statement, but whoever comes in that role could not be committed and looking at the best interest of the counties. We would have the opportunity to say, you know what, but at the same time, if they're doing a good job, then it's something that the opportunity is there to say, yeah, I want this guy in for 2 and beyond. So with that said, I think notes or a report can be I don't know if that can be related to, because it is the next term of council that will be looking at this further. So with that said, I'll put an end to these discussions and we'll move towards our administrative update. Mr. Fothrop.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Through you. Attached is my CAO update for the schedule since our last meeting. I've attended 2 Board of Directors meetings with the Lancaster non-profit housing provider. As well, attended or organized a meeting of the local CAOs on July 28th. As well, met with representatives from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing on August 12th. Attended a EOWC Board of Directors meeting on the 13th. And then as part of the EOWC, met with the Western Ontario Wardens Caucus in a joint meeting on the first day of AMO, and then attended the AMO conference last week from August 16th to the 19th. And then some key dates upcoming. We have council meetings on September 21st and October 19th, as well as a SDG OPP Detachment Board meeting on September 2nd and then October 21st. We have a joint liaison committee meeting coming up on September 17th, and don't forget the SDG Wardens Banquet on October 3rd.
And on a side note, the warden went away from prime rib, which I'm not, so now it's filet mignon, so it's a warden's preference. So with that said, we will move on to our miscellaneous business. So we have people in the room. So if you guys were here for the special OPA meeting that we have to complain, you're too late. So, but I don't assume that's that. So we're looking at our annual staff recognition ceremony. So for the staff that joined us today, good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to join you today as we celebrate a truly remarkable group of individuals who have dedicated their time, talent, and commitment to the residents of SDG counties. Today is about recognizing the people who work or whose hard work helps make our organization stronger every day. Whether you're making 10, 15, 20, or 25 years of service, your contribution has helped shape the programs, services, and communities we proudly serve. Your knowledge, professionalism, and dedication have made a lasting difference, and we are grateful for everything you bring to your role each and every day. We also recognize our retirees whose career represents decades of service and commitment. As you begin this exciting new chapter, please know that your impact will continue to be felt long after today. You leave behind a legacy of excellence, mentorship, and a public service that has enriched SDG counties and inspired your colleagues. So on behalf of the SDG Counties Council and the residents we serve, thank you for your dedication, your passion, and your many years of service. Congratulations to all today's honorees and best wishes for the future. Thank you very much. Good. So moving forward, I will pass it over to the MC that will take care of the presentation, our CEO, Mr. Jamie Fawthorpe.
Thank you, Warden. It's my pleasure to be here today attending my first staff appreciation event. Maureen wasn't exaggerating. I learned that very quickly, that we have a very fortunate and to have such a wonderful team here at SDG Counties. So thank you for joining us as we recognize and celebrate the outstanding employees who are reaching important service milestones and retirements this year. Today is an opportunity to reflect on the people whose dedication, professionalism, and expertise help make SDG Counties the strong and respected organization it is today. Our success as an organization is built on the commitment of our staff. The individuals we are honoring today represent decades of collective experience across a wide range of services. Through changing priorities, evolving technologies, and growing community needs, they have consistently demonstrated a commitment to excellence and public service. Long service is about more than the number of years. It reflects relationships built, knowledge shared, challenges overcome, and contributions made every single day. The impact of that work extends far beyond our offices and facilities, touching the lives of residents throughout SDG counties. To our retirees, thank you for the lasting contributions you have made throughout your careers. Your expertise, leadership, and dedication have helped shape this organization and have left a legacy that will continue to benefit staff and residents alike. On behalf of the SDG Counties leadership team, congratulations to all of today's honorees. Thank you for your service, your commitment, and the important role you play in the continued success of SDG Counties. So now we'll recognize our honorees. To help me, I think I'll call forward some of the directors from the areas of the staff being recognized. First, Ms. Russell. This individual has reached their 25 years of service milestone. We'd like to recognize Monique Lefebvre from the Court Services Department. Also celebrating 25 years of service, we have Sabina Aid from GIS Services. Celebrating 20 years of service, we have Rebecca Russell. Celebrating 15 years of service, we have Tracy Cloutier from Financial Services. Celebrating 10 years of service, we have Emily Andrews from Library Services. Also celebrating 10 years of service, we have Carolyn McCullough from Financial Services. Now for our retirees, we have, after 25 years of service, from Court Services, Monique Lefebvre.
Years deserves a few words. So I'm just I've prepared something just to honor Monique and her 25 years of service. So just a little bit of a background. Prior to joining the counties, Monique spent almost 14 years with the provincial court. On January 15, 2001, she chose to begin her career with the counties as a newly established POA court was being formed. Together with her 25 years of service with SDG, this milestone reflects an outstanding 39-year career dedicated to the court system, which is quite a long time. Over the years, she progressed through the roles of team leader, supervisor, and ultimately manager of court services. Monique continually demonstrated her commitment to professional development. In 2010, she earned her CMM2 Court Professional Certificate, and in 2019, the Municipal Court Managers Association of Ontario recognized her achievement of the Certified Municipal Manager designation, earning her the CMM3 Court Executive designation. She has transitioned through many opportunities and challenges, from the introduction of ICON to the evolution of hybrid court, and the many ongoing ministry changes. She is highly resourceful, dependable, and her technical skills and abilities are second to none. SDG Counties is fortunate to be supported by many outstanding employees. Sorry, it's been a long time working with Monique. A 25-year career with one organization is a true testament to dedication, commitment, and service. Monique, I am proud that you've called SDG Counties your home for the last 25 years. Thank you for your years of service, hard work, dedication, and support, but most of all, friendship. I'm sincerely happy for you as you begin this well-deserved and exciting new chapter. Congratulations.
Our next retiree, after 22 years of service from Library Services, is Jeanette DeVries.
Congratulations, Jeanette, on your retirement and on 22 wonderful years of service with the SDG Library. Throughout those years, Jeanette brought warmth, creativity, and an incredible sense of community to the library. She began her career as a CSA in Dundas and later became an LSA at the Iroquois branch, where she became such a familiar and caring presence that she was affectionately considered the mother of the Iroquois Library. And really, that says a great deal about who Jeanette was as a staff member. Jeanette's superpower was her ability to connect with people. She didn't simply know the patrons who came through the doors, she genuinely got to know them. She knew their interests, their families, what they liked to read, and what was happening in their lives. She made people feel welcomed, remembered, and cared for, and those relationships became an important part of what made the Iroquois branch feel like a community library in the truest sense. That connection to the community extended well beyond the walls of the branch. Jeanette's own children grew up in Iroquois, and her family's roots in the community ran deep. She and her family farmed in the area, eventually selling the farm to their son, and she always looked forward to the agricultural days put on by Seaway District High School. She understood the community she served because it was also very much her community. Jeanette also brought her own interests and passions into her work. Her love of books, gardening, and food inspired creative programs that brought people together, and many of those programs continue today. She was always looking for ways to make the library meaningful and relevant to the people who walk through its doors. Her kindness and dedication could also be seen in countless smaller gestures. She delivered books to patrons who could no longer make it to the branch, and when SDG Reads came around, she was known to fill her car with readers eager to attend. For Jeanette, going the extra mile for a patron was simply part of the job, and sometimes that extra mile involved actually getting in that car. What is perhaps most fitting is that retirement hasn't changed that part of Jeanette very much at all. She continues to give back to her community by delivering Meals on Wheels and helping bring people to appointments. After spending 22 years connecting people with the library, she is still finding ways to connect with people and care for the people around her. 22 years is an incredible contribution to the SDG Library, but Jeanette's legacy cannot really be measured in years. It can be found in the relationships she built, the programs she created, and the patrons she cared for, the colleagues she worked alongside, and the community she helped strengthen. Jeanette, thank you for 22 years of kindness, creativity, dedication, and service to the SDG Library and to the Iroquois community. We hope retirement brings you many more opportunities to travel, bike, visit family, enjoy a few wineries along the way, and continue doing what you have always done so naturally, connecting with people and making a difference in their lives. Congratulations, Jeanette, and thank you for everything.
Our next honoree, also from Library Services, 28 years of service, we have Eleanor Petersma.
Eleanor couldn't be with us today, and although we recognize Eleanor's 28 years of service specifically with the SDG Library, we also want to take a moment to recognize her retirement and celebrate an extraordinary 41 years of service to the Iroquois community. Eleanor was truly at the heart of the Iroquois Library. She began her career with the former Iroquois Public Library and helped guide its transition to what we now know as the Iroquois branch of the SDG Library. Bring with her a remarkable amount of knowledge, experience, and dedication. Throughout her career, Eleanor had a special gift for connecting with children and young learners. Through story times, class visits, summer reading clubs, and countless other interactions, she helped generations of children feel welcomed at the library and excited about reading. Her influence can be seen in many young volunteers she encouraged over the years, some of whom would eventually become members of the SDG Library team themselves. 41 years of service represents an incredible commitment to our community. While Eleanor isn't able to celebrate with us today, we hope she knows how grateful we are for everything she contributed and for the lasting impact she has had on the Iroquois Library branch and the family it serves. Eleanor, thank you for your remarkable dedication to the SDG Library. We wish you every happiness in a very well-deserved retirement.
Thank you once again for your kind attention during today's ceremony. To celebrate our honorees, we'll be serving a staff lunch to mark the occasion. Buffet-style barbecue lunch will be served in the warden's room in behind us. Caterers will be setting things up. We hope to have lunch available within the next 20 minutes. So I hope you are able to stick around. Thanks and congratulations again to the honorees.
So from what I can see, Councillor Broad, you got big shoes to fill in the Iroquois from with that said, lunch is going to be served, so I will ask for the ratification bylaw, please.
It's moved by Councillor Lang, seconded by Councillor Williams, that bylaw number 5546, being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion is carried, and our adjournment.
It's moved by Councillor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Broad, that council adjourn to the call of the chair.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you.